5:02. And I've been informed that this clock's off, so be mindful. Not that I can see it anyway. We need to start for introduction of board members. Tyler, come on in. We're just starting. But anyway, let's start with Linda.
Linda Barrett, clerk.
Bill's gonna mouthful of something.
Bill Biederman.
Bill Biederman with Middlebury. Thank you.
Austin Haynes, business manager.
Christine Wesley, workforce development.
John Markowski, resident of Bridgeport and workforce investment board member.
Dan Rosagol, resident of Addison and representing Addison Northwest at large.
Tim Hartnum, the chairperson. I'm from New Haven and I represent the community at large membership at Mount Abraham.
Vance Bishop, ACSD at large, Middlebury, Vermont.
Steve Orzek, vice chair, ACSD representative, and Middlebury resident.
Christina Macklin, I'm the Addison Northwest School District rep, and I live in North Harrisburg.
Laura Harsden, ACSD rep, Middlebury resident.
I'm Jillian Ziegler, I'm the director of curriculum and instruction, here tonight to present an action item.
Wendy Pratt, assistant director here.
Nicole McTavish, superintendent and director.
Visitors in the back. Dan, you want to start?
Dan Callahan, IT manager here at the Career Center.
Thank you.
Beth Daniel, work-based learning coordinator. Shannon Thurber, executive admin and HR assistant.
Thank you.
David Roberts, director of operations.
Steve.
Steve Boggs, Middlebury.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
We do have a quorum, obviously. We're going to start it.
Said someone else just came on.
Anybody else coming on?
Yeah, but Liz is coming on right now.
Okay.
It's gonna take her a minute to switch over. Hey, Liz is in.
Liz is in.
Liz Fair, MA.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Full board, yes.
Can't see you yet. I don't know if you have your camera on or not. So, the second item, a motion to approve the agenda that's in front of you.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none. On that note, Christina has a request of maybe in the new year that we could go paperless.
I would really appreciate that.
So a thought, if you still need it, hard copy, I guess maybe you could call ahead and ask Shannon to do that for you. But,
I'd be happy to.
I know we used to have these mailed back, 20 years ago, and you'd get them on Saturday. And sitting here kind of going, okay, so anyway. And most of the information here is in your links, as you all know, but providing the links are operating. I think that's the other part. David?
Just as a logistics question for that, does that mean we're gonna project everything here and you guys gonna read it here? Or do you wanna bring your laptops, or how are people gonna read this information here in the room?
Good question. Food for thought. Let's everybody think about that, and we can.
Yeah, I mean, I can share in Addison Northwest, everybody brings their phone or their laptop.
Right.
Okay.
I think
Good question, though.
projecting is a great idea as long as somebody can read it.
Yeah. If I stand up pretty close to it, I'm good, but
The font's not real readable right now.
No, but thank you. Important question.
All right, so am I taking this for direction because we provided the paper packets at the direction of the board?
Yes,
So
correct.
now we are not doing that, is what I'm understanding.
We haven't made that decision yet, I guess, is the
Okay.
first question. And I'll leave it out for thought for a few minutes and I'll bring it back later.
Okay.
Thank you. A motion to approve November 20th meeting minutes.
Moved.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Public comment on the agenda. Anybody online? Seeing none. Anybody, visitors, have any comments? Thank you. Okay. The consent agenda. Monthly tables.
Yep, that's mine. So we're doing a quick recap of November 2025 expenditures. For general fund accounts payable, we had $141,916.01. Payroll was $242,865.13. In adult ed, we had $1,287.23. Makery, there was no activity. In our enterprise account, we had $8,114.94. Student activities, $11,711.40. No activity in scholarship. And our building and equipment reserve fund, there were $15,134.31. So grand total of $421,029.02. And as far as our line of credit activity, we did pull $200,000 in November. And then fast forward to this month in December, with our ed fund payments and the tuition payments from sending districts, we were able to pay down our line of credit in full. So that was the full $1.7 million that we have borrowed since July. And now we are fully paid off in our line of credit.
Any questions?
That line of credit thing is an annual, so that'll probably come back around again, right?
Yep, so
Okay.
that's renewed every year in July.
Yep.
There's a cash flow exercise that we go through to figure out how much we need.
Yep.
As you remember, this past fall, we extended that ceiling because we realized the original line was too short. We came in a little bit under our total max, which is good. And so that means we don't incur as much interest if we don't pull the full amount.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Comment on bakery.
Actually, Bill, you're all set with your question.
John, ask my question.
Okay.
On the bakery, I understand the website's down because I've been trying to sign up for it for quite a while. Does anybody know anything about it? Is that this?
I don't know anything about it, but I can assume. I think the answer is there's no, since they don't have a coordinator, there's no one kind of paying attention.
Okay.
And so if there's too many people, they're limited to the number of users, and so they're probably over that, and it locks everything down. I'll go in and shoot an email to Roger and ask him to check and figure out.
I'm keeping track here of how many times I use it. And then I guess I'll just write a check.
Yeah. Or you could just get an annual membership.
Yeah, if I could do that, I would do.
Probably have to get on the website to do that, though.
Any
Most
website.
likely, yeah. Austin, I'm not sure where this is appropriately supposed to be positioned. I just looked at the agenda quickly. The buses have arrived.
Yes.
If that's something you want to.
David's our quarterback on the buses.
Okay,
Buses have arrived. We have, took a little while to get the paperwork, yada, yada. We have the paperwork. We got it on Monday. No, we got it on Tuesday. Alan's registering them next Tuesday with the DMV. Dave Mills has already undercoded them. And so they're ready to roll January 3rd or 4th, whenever we're back.
And as Nicole put out there, there's a certification bus school, I guess you want to call it, where everybody that wants or is interested in driving the bus is certified to do that. Is that correct?
All of our faculty and teaching assistants were trained, well, actually everybody were trained. We did the book part of the thing where you take the test. And then the next step is that people have to go take the driving test and do a certain number of hours.
Is that a class within the state somewhere? Or?
It's actually a little bit more convoluted than we had hoped, but we have had Steve Lawrence has successfully completed. So he was our test case, and so now he'll be able to help everybody else
Pass the test.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Second. Okay, Linda, you have that? Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Any opposition? Seeing none. Motion carries.
Bye.
Thank you, Austin. As usual.
So Drew, this one into this one. And then you have to change the source.
Earlier higher.
Oh, don't let her.
All right.
Okay. Proposed roadshow.
I think I need to share this with the folks on, hold on, sorry.
Do what you have to do.
God help me.
Help. This is why we have Dan here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
If I turn the lights down.
But you have to. Oh, okay, so I can just share it.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the budget. Traditionally, the superintendent, sometimes with the business manager, through the years, sometimes not, goes and does a roadshow per se with different organizations, all the descending schools. And Nicole and I sat down the other day, we talked about who to add to that group, and we'd be looking for more suggestions from here. That would be helpful. And I suggested the select board, for instance, in Middlebury, some of the other groups that would be willing to put time in their agendas to be able to talk about these kinds of things that we need to sell to the public voters. Anyway, so when David's ready, we'll transition to that.
All right. So each year, we put together a presentation and we take it to the sending school districts and then many other community groups generally. I generally do the Rotaries and the Kiwanis and the age-well people and kind of whoever will have me. So you will be the first people who see this year's roadshow. This is a culmination of about 3 months of work with David and Austin and myself and Wendy and our social media person, Lauren, who actually made the beautiful presentation with all of the materials that we collected. So the audience for this roadshow, because I'm going to talk with people who often don't know that much about us or what we do or how we work, I do have a bit of the front-loaded part is about what we do here at the Career Center and how we work, so that the sending school boards or the Kiwanis or the Rotaries can understand the context before I start talking about the money. So many of you will know this, but know that most of the audiences won't know much of what I'm about to present. Next slide. So the first thing is just going over what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what we do and who our students are, the context for this year's budget, the factors informing the proposed budget, and then what our actual proposed budget and tuition is. So we serve 17 towns across 4 districts. It used to be 3, now there's Lincoln, so now we're 4. We operate 2 physical campuses here in Middlebury, this one that we're sitting in, and then the one that's out at North Campus on Manelli Road. And we also offer a satellite program at Virgins High School. So we do CTE, so we were founded in 1971, and I'll talk a little bit later too. We not only educate high school students, we also educate adult learners in our community. So these are the 3 places where our students are educated in career technical education, at the main campus, Middlebury, and then Virgins. So CTE, why it matters right now, especially in the context of today. So the statewide context, as many of you know, is that we have a very quickly aging population in the state of Vermont. And we have great needs in our labor force, especially in the trades and healthcare and transportation, manufacturing, and agriculture. We know that by 2030, which is 4 years from now, 1 in 3 Vermonters are going to be over 60. And we also know that only about 50% of our students are going on to post-secondary education. That's been true for a while. And I don't see that trend. That trend is not changing and probably will actually decrease. So it is very important to Vermont to have students go into the trades that we need. And it's very important for students to go into the trade so that they can have a living wage and be able to live and work in Vermont. So one of the things that we do really well in career technical education is the students are not only getting their progress through high school, they're also earning things which give them a leg up in the world of work. So while they're in our programs, they earn industry recognized credentials, which are actually the same certifications that people in industry earn. So they might earn their ASE brake certification, or they might earn their drone flying certification, or they might earn their licensed nursing assistant, which are the same things that adults in the real world earn. They also do post-secondary training in their work, so that we are hoping to bridge many of our students into post-secondary world so that they can start their career at one level and then branch off to a higher level over time. And then we do a big part of what we do. In fact, you'll see a presentation tonight is the work-based learning. So students have real experience in their real fields while they're still in high school. So CTE is good for students, for our communities, and for the future of Vermont. So CTE, we talked a little bit about this last year, and this trend is growing even stronger. CTE is on the rise across America and in Vermont. So students are seeing that they're doing the cost ratio, the benefit of long-term debt for student loans versus going into workplace and being able to start a high-wage, high-demand, high-skilled job, and then earning, if they want to fleet up in that field, doing that while they're already working. So we've seen a 12% enrollment since 2024 in high school and public vocational two-year programs. Community colleges are just seeing a tremendous jump. And the same with trades focused enrollment. So those welding schools, those diesel schools, those culinary schools are seeing a huge increase. And the public two-year enrollment, so those community colleges or those technical colleges are seeing a huge increase. Students are making different choices these days. So one of the things that we're responsible for career technical education is making sure that the programs that we offer mirror the industries which are needed in our general area. So the way that Vermont has us organized is around sort of catchment areas. Our catchment area is loosely Addison County. But we also try very hard to mirror our industry, not just to Addison County, but also to Vermont in general. One of our best tools is the McClure Foundation puts out Vermont's Most Promising Jobs each year, and they do a tremendous job of taking all the disparate labor statistics out there and putting it into a very usable format. And we work very hard to make sure that the programs that they list at the top need, that we are offering those things. And these are some of the very top needed industries here in Vermont. So the other piece of the context which was interesting about our budget is that in the entire public education sphere in Addison County, so our district, Lincoln School District, Addison Northwest School District, Addison Central District, and Mount Abraham School District, all of those annual budgets last year were right around $125 million. And last year we accounted for about 4.45% of that overall. And yet we do serve 1 in 3 high school students. So even though when we talk about tuition, our tuition rate seems high per kid, when you look at us in context of the greater spending on public education in all of Addison County, really we are less than 5% of that total expenditure, but we're serving 1 in 3 high school students. So we feel like we are doing a really good service for our community and for students. So again, when the students are graduating from the Hannaford Career Center, they're getting their diploma from whatever sending school district it is that they're attending. But in addition to their high school credits, they are emerging with industry credentials, dual enrollment credits. So those are college credits that are free to the student and to the family that the state of Vermont pays for them. They get hands-on experience, and they also have a clear pathway. We work very hard to not just say congratulations on graduation, but we hand them off to the next thing so that they have a direct path from us to whatever their next step is. The other thing that was really cool about career technical education, and this is true not only of the Hannaford Career Center, but of CTE across the nation, is that students which are connected with CTE graduate at higher rates than students who are not connected with CTE. And the Hannaford Career Center in particular does an excellent job with making sure that our students graduate on time. So of the students who attend here at the Hannaford Career Center, 98% of them graduated on time, compared to all of Vermont CTE, which was at 95%, and all of Vermont graduates, which is at 82%. So not only do we help the students enter their career fields, but we do a really good job helping the sending school districts make sure that their graduation rates are bolstered too, by getting kids really connected with things that they care about in school. So the economic imperative in Vermont is clear. We have all experienced trying to get a plumber or an electrician or a hairdresser or a doctor in the state of Vermont. And so the economic imperative is making sure that we have people filtering into those needed industries, and also making sure that our students are able to earn a living wage job. because it is very unlikely we're going to be able to import all of these needed laborers from other states because of our housing issue, which is always top of mind. The wage competition, our wages do not stand up to those of our neighboring states, and just the high cost of living in Vermont. So we need to grow our own, especially with students who already have a connection here and love Vermont. So who do we serve? We serve Addison County and a couple other little towns, and we have about anywhere between, depends on the year, but in the 350 range of students each year, individual students who come through our doors. This year we had 377, we'll see that on another slide, but this number is fairly consistent. And we have both 9th and 10th graders, which take our exploratory classes, although 10th graders are allowed to take our technical courses as well. And then we have our technical programs for our 11th and 12th graders, but again, the 10th graders are allowed to take those programs. And then every year we serve several hundred adult learners, mostly through the healthcare professions, but also we do things like welding and tractor safety, and the classes vary based on the demand of our county. So again, what we do here is we prepare both students, so 9th through 12th graders, and adults for high skill, high wage, high demand jobs, those jobs that Vermont really needs and that students can benefit from. So our student demographics, one of the things when you think about the fact that we're able to have 98% of the kids that come here graduate, we also do it with twice as many students that are special needs. So our sending school districts have 22% students on IEPs and 504s. We serve almost 40% students that are on IEPs or 504s, yet we have a higher graduation rate. And I think that speaks to the engagement when students really find that thing that lights them up, that they really want to do. All of the sudden, school becomes a place they want to go, and that they do go, and that they're successful at. And that benefits them not only for their career, but also for their graduation at their sending high school. So what are our programs? So we have 24 programs. We have programs in our pre-technical area, which are mostly 9th and 12th grade, 9th and 10th grade students who are exploring different professions to try to see if this is a good fit for them and if they like it. So we have these that are listed. And then we also have our technical programs, which are every day for half of the day, where the students come and they really focus on a specific trade. The other piece that I spoke about earlier is that work-based learning. So in addition to learning about their trade and earning industry certificates through their trade and taking college-level coursework through their trade, they actually get hooked up with, Jessica helps them find a place to go do a workplace learning. That may be as small as a shadow just to see what somebody does, or it may be as long as a full paid internship. So we meet the student where they have availability and interest, and that can change over time. They may do a couple of shadows and then find something that really sticks, and then want to really stick with that profession. So the work-based learning is why we get kids involved, is so that we can really give them that leverage, that leg up in their career. And then this was our last year data, and you'll see this presentation again coming up, which is how many employer partners we have in which career fields. And we'll talk actually specifically about what we have there. Our community is super excited about hosting our students. We have a really great placement rate because the community loves hosting our kids. And this is a growing piece of our offering for kids. We were doing a really good job, and each year we do it a little bit better, right? So you can see that since last year to this year, we have grown in both the number of students participating and the number of programs in our center which are participating. So both the career field and the actual children are having more experiences. These are some of our community partners where students are placed right now, and you can see that they kind of all are all over the board as far as what career paths that they are. So our industry partnerships, we wanted to take just a second and highlight our industry partnership with Porter Medical because it's such a strong partnership. We work directly with the physicians and the LNAs and the nurses and the leadership at Porter Hospital. And they bring our students into activities that they wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to get. Our students have more access at Porter Hospital than I've ever experienced in 25 years working in career technical education. We have kids in scrubs in operating rooms. We have kids observing procedures. We have kids talking to elderly people that are in hospice. I mean, these are very real life experiences that the students are having, and then alongside them is the real practitioner who talks them through that practice. It really is pretty amazing. So adult education is the other piece that often gets forgotten in career technical education. One of the other reasons that we exist is to offer industry training for adults in our community, either people that are reskilling or changing careers or maybe haven't had a career that they have loved. They can come to us and get retrained through our adult education programs. What we have going on right now is mostly healthcare, but we also have skilled trades, so welding and small engine repair and tractor safety are very popular courses, and they generally fill up. We also are just in the process of putting together a partnership with Middlebury College Dining Services for culinary skilling up, where their current employees will increase their skills to be able to access higher paying jobs. And then in development, we have a neuromuscular therapy class that looks like it's going to go, and a food as medicine class, which I think is going to be pretty cool. So what is our enrollment and capacity? So right now we have 377 students as of our fall count. And so that is almost exactly, that's 33% of the resident high school students in the districts that we serve. We could, though, however, serve up to 600 students. And this is something that this board has heard from me many times, but might be new to our boards that I'm going to be talking to. So right now we have room for over 200 more students without spending any more money, right? Our costs are fixed. We can take those students as with what we have right now. So the demand we talked about on this earlier slide, where we talked about the demand growing for CTE. Kids want to get into CTE. Kids enjoy CTE. Kids are clamoring for CTE. And to our south, right, they don't have enough spaces for all of the kids that want to take their classes, so they are forced, not through their own choice, but because of capacity, to turn kids away. Same with our districts to our north. They have over 7,000 resident students in Chittenden County, and they can only serve about 10% of that population. Yet here we are with a brand new, beautifully renovated facility with seats for 200 students. But it's because of the way that the catchment areas, the service areas, you might think of them as boundaries, are created in the state of Vermont that causes it to be a problem for students to come here. So that's something we're really focusing on. So every year, the sending school boards always ask this, so this is a slide for the sending school districts. What is our enrollment and where are they coming from? So of the 377 kids, that translates, FTE is how we get paid, so full-time equivalency. So when a student is here, they're not here all day, they're only here half the day. So all of our technical students only count for 0.5, half of one FTE. And our pre-technical students are here even less than that. So they count for another fraction of that, either a 0.3 or a 0.2 or sometimes a 0.17. So you add up all of those, and even though you have 377 children, you get only paid for 142.16 seats. So the students listed are the head count, the number of children. So for Middlebury, 156, for Jens, 100, and so on. And this is our enrollment by program currently. So how many actual children, how many students are in each of these programs? And then these are our pre-technical programs. And it takes a lot more pre-technical students to equal the same amount of FTE because they are so fractional. So the enrollment situation is complicated by not only the boundaries, which cause kids to be turned away from CTE, but also the fact that sometimes they get waitlisted. Like there might be room, but then at the end of the day, there isn't room. So right now in the state of Vermont, there are 131 students who are waitlisted either to our north or to our south. And those students didn't get to go to CTE, even though they went through the application process, they were accepted, but there was not a seat for them. So if those students, if we were able to serve those students here at PAC, it would make a huge difference, not only to the students and their lives, but also to our taxpayers and how much it costs per student to go here. Our tuition would decrease by over $14,000 per student if we even were able to serve half of those kids, which would be a decrease of $34,000, or 34%, excuse me. The other question I get a lot is, why is the Hannaford Center so expensive, right? Why are we more expensive than the same seat in a public K-12 school district? And for this center, and this is specific to Hannaford, right? This isn't the same as other CTE districts. Our answer is really bond debt and boundaries. And the boundary issue I've spoken to, right? We have we are not right-sized in our boundary. We should be accepting students who are otherwise not getting CTE. And if our boundary were changed to allow us to do that, then more students would get CTE and we would have more seats filled, which would then drive down our tuition costs. The other piece is our bond debt. You're sitting in a beautiful facility. This was supported by the communities, all of our communities in Madison County. And so we do have to pay that back, right? We took a big loan to have this facility updated, and it needed it. It was 50 years old, and it was really aging and not very well. CTE is hard on a building. It's hard on systems, it's hard on air handlers, it's hard on machinery, it's hard on everything. So you do have to update. So we did update that, and then we also built the North Campus, and that bond is the $1.6 million bond, and that's actually expiring, but it's still contributing to our cost. So it depends on the year and what the tuition rate is and what the actual budget is. But the bond debt can be upwards of 20% of our budget. This year it's less than that. I think we'll get to that. So I think it's 13 or 14%. But it's a big chunk of what we pay every year, which is non-discretionary. And the other thing is for the boundary constraints, that same conversation about our boundary. We only have almost 1,200 resident high schools students, whereas Stafford has 21 resident high schools, 2,100 resident high schoolers, and Chittenden County has 7,000 resident high schoolers. So we have a lot less kids to draw from in our boundary. So this is the issue that we've been talking about, boundaries. Right now, all of the CTE centers in the state of Vermont are set up by these boundaries. Very similar to school district boundaries, right? We have CTE center boundaries. And so the students in our boundary come to our center. If they're not in our boundary, they go elsewhere. The law actually allows students to go to a CTE outside of their boundary, but it rarely happens because transportation is not provided. So we're positioned for growth, and that's what we've been working on very hard over the last few years. The board has seen the trends in enrollment over time. We have been successful in having more students come here, but we are pretty much hitting I think the top of that unless our boundary is changed. But we are definitely positioned to be a CTE hub for this area because we do have a very nice facility and very talented instructors. So the big reveal. What is the budget? So this is our current budget, this year budget, fiscal year 26, which is $5,704,279.65. And you can see that the big blue and then the orange, those are essentially wages, salaries, benefits, debt service. So that's 87% pretty much of our budget right there. Then the rest is what we have some discretion over. Although I'm not entirely sure that paying the bills for lights is discretionary, but it is not wages, benefits, or bond debt. For the 27 budget, it is $6,271,915.72, and the ratio is pretty similar: 51% for wages, 22% for benefits, and just under 13% for debt service. So that budget increase is an increase of just over $500,000, $567,000. And so why is that? Those of you who are sitting on boards right now, you certainly know about the rising costs. The negotiated salary increases, they compound over time, and we just finished a bargain with both our teachers union and our support staff union. I feel very good that those folks were getting good raises, and also it costs more money. So we had an increase in wages, a significant increase in wages. The insurance costs, we have another slide about this, but it is just pretty nuts. We'll talk about the cost of a healthcare plan even over the last 4 years. Then we've had some significant facilities investment, obviously, and then our bond debt payment. So we will be paying these bond debts for quite some time. So this is a slide I just wanted to pull out. This may be informative to those of you on boards too, right? So the healthcare increase only went up 7.3% this year, which was actually a gift because we were thinking it was going to be significantly more than this. But that shows you that from 24 to 27, so just in a few years, we've had a 48% increase in the cost of healthcare. And the benefits for our healthcare, when we hire somebody, let's say their salary is $100,000, another $30,000 we're paying for benefits. So the benefits really drive up our cost. I think a really shocking statistic is that the Family Gold Plan, which is what most people take, went from $17,000-ish in fiscal year 18, which was only a few short years ago, to now $41,000. So that just shows you that it just exponential, I mean, just how much more the healthcare costs nowadays. And so the other piece is, as you have buildings and they age over time, and again, CTE is hard on buildings, especially on anything to do with air handling. You do have to maintain and upgrade those facilities. Right now, our North Campus building, the roof is at the end of its useful life and is experiencing some failure. And once those membrane roofs start to go, they start to go quickly. So we're at a place where we do need to replace the North Campus roof and the air handling systems, which are actually called something else now.
Energy recovery units.
Energy recovery units that go along with them. And then our staffing salaries and our debt obligation, which we've talked about. Just what it costs to have hires and then what it costs to pay our debts. So our preliminary tuition forecast is listed here. So in 26, you can see what the adopted tuition was. So there's a state portion that they pay, and then there's the school portion, and then there's the total amount of the tuition. So the school portion is what you're going to be looking at here. And it's going up 11% from 26 to 27, $3,488. The base rate is a little bit of a conundrum these last couple of years. You can see for long time, 10 years, we had an increase in base rate almost every year. And then we had this sort of sneaky thing that happened last year where it wasn't announced that they were actually going to give us a negative base rate increase, but they did it and everyone was surprised. And that makes it feel to our sending school districts like an additional increase in tuition because what the state was paying isn't as much as the percentage went down. So that wasn't very welcome. This year, we are happy to report that we again have a positive base rate, but you can see that the trend is off because we dropped and now we're just trying to recover. So that's exacerbating our issue.
Nicole, I got a fun question. When you say that it dropped and then it increased, the increase that we're showing this year and the last year, is that above the lower base rate or is that above the trend line?
I am gonna I told him I'd block this one.
Yeah, the percentage, so the bars, if you see on the very far left, it says percent change from previous year. So the height of the bar is reflecting a percentage increase over the previous year. And so the 12,688 was the base rate we received last year, which was a reduction from the prior year. We received a slight increase to 13,227, which is sort of level setting us from the year prior, if that makes sense. So those, long story short, those are showing percentage increases over the prior year.
Thank you.
On the left axis, yeah.
Not what the total base rate value is in dollars.
And we were, again, last year it was just out of the blue, which caused our sending school districts to feel like it was about a 2% more increase than it actually was. So we are happy that at least we don't have a negative one again this year.
Nicole, who sets that?
I don't even know. That is a, Austin?
Well,
do
the
you know?
AOE sets it, and it's
Right.
based on economic indicators they look at statewide, and there's a whole complicated process that the budgeting office goes through. But they announce those rates mid-December of
I was
every
gonna say
year.
pretty soon.
Yeah, we don't really have any control over that. And the other issue which Nicole touched on is when they dropped the rate last year, it meant that the sending district had to pick up that additional portion that was not paid by the state, and so that exacerbated the impact that they felt when we tuitioned them this year.
And there was a lot of pressure from all the school districts, the K-12 school districts and the CTEs to show us the math. Because we were all living through last year, all of the economic indicators that we saw would have indicated a positive shift, not a negative one.
Yeah.
But we never were shown any math.
Would it be worth, if you made this a line plot and plotted the cost of living, average cost of living or cost of living increase over those years to show really what's happening? I don't think these numbers go up faster than the cost of living.
Right, yeah, on average, it's about a 3 to 5% per year increase
So, I mean,
over
so,
10 years.
I mean, yeah, you're absorbing healthcare costs, you're absorbing salaries. And are we staying with the cost of living or dropping below that? Because that, it's a big number. People understand cost of living, and right now they're saying, yeah, I mean, every week you hear about what the cost of living increase is from the month before. And if you were to show that, especially in the last few years, because you're gonna have that line's gonna dip. And then the cost of living is gonna continue rising, and now maybe we've even got a bigger spread. I would just plot it and see what it looks like. 'Cause, people do understand that a lot these days. It's,
Bill, did you get your question answered?
I did.
Thank you.
I did. Judd keeps asking my question.
Great.
But thank you.
At your service.
So the other thing, many of you might have seen our social media feeds where we are doing we're really spending a lot of time finding our alumni, asking them what's going on, seeing how Pat contributed to their future careers. And we have just some amazing success stories. I just randomly yesterday I was meeting with Donna Bailey, who is lead the parent-child center, the preschool that we work with. Turns out her daughter was an ART graduate in the same year as Jake Leahy and is now in a Hulu show and is a circus performer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second year in this show that she's on Hulu, and she's a living, working actress. And just her mom is so thrilled. So this is the time where I stop, I'm finished talking, and then I answer questions. And I will also lob some to David and Austin if they're very technical. Yes.
I have three things I wrote down, if I may. The IRC, you do get into it a little bit, but is there a cost, is there a value, a real price value for these IRCs? Can you say it saves them this or that over time, because it's free? And the IRCs are a pretty big deal. You're graduating with more than a diploma.
Yeah, I'm not sure we could put a specific price on it. It would depend, right? An LNA cost is a different cost driver than a brakes certificate is a different cost driver than a drone operator.
So, you mentioned drones, but again, something like LNAs and getting out there and being able to work right away in a field is an important thing. And especially the idea, you mentioned several times, safety.
Right.
They have all of their safety certifications when they go out there.
Right.
I think that's a big
Yes, they don't have to do all of that OSHA stuff. And if they're going into a childcare field, they have all of that, the who to report to, the mandatory reporter stuff, the taking care of children the safety way. They have to, like when you become a paraeducator or a teacher, you have to go through all of these trainings, but they've got all of those done so they can start the first day they're on the job.
That's a big deal.
Maybe a little more addition in regards to the automotive piece, what type of certifications that they're getting out there, because there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a long list, yes.
No, I'm almost done.
Okay.
Well, you mentioned enrollment increases. You've also mentioned that enrollment in high schools and local schools is decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just that increase, it's a switch. There's something else going on there. And you kind of get on that. I just wanted to bring that up again. And then your high school graduation plot rates. Could you go back to that? Having your baseline at 80%.
Yeah, that might
That's a
look better.
little, I call
Do it at-
deceiving.
do it at-
Some like Austin must have done.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
There are several
Yeah, right there,
graphs.
82%. It looks like a big difference there, and I know you want to show it, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
difference is because 80% of your 0 point on your y-axis.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
There are several graphs throughout the presentation that do that. Your baseline should be
What?
at 0.
I was in the same thing.
Oh, you were, so you didn't do it?
Paint and pick.
I can't take credit.
Yes.
So, question I have is, as you're going out and you're pitching these people and saying, you know, this is what we're doing, and we actually have extra space, but we aren't getting the students in from north and from south of us. Is there a plan in place from the state right now to have a regular pool of money and a CTE pool of money, so that won't be an issue anymore?
There is not yet anything on the table. The legislative session will be starting soon. There is certainly, everybody is aware that the money following the child is a problem. I don't know, I could not predict what legislation might come. There's great awareness of the problem. I cannot predict if there will be any suggestion of an answer.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I'm gonna ask this question in case you get asked this question.
Okay,
So 98% are graduating here, and I'm just wondering statistically, how many of, are getting IRCs and doing post-secondary training and all of that? Like, what's the ratio going on there?
we have that on a different slide in a different presentation. I don't think we have that in this one. So part of our program quality, I can't tell you that off the top of my head.
That's
but
okay,
I
I'm
can
just
probably
wondering-
look it up.
Okay. You
Because
might
we
get asked
actually
that
just
question,
did, we just did that presentation a different time, I just don't have it in my head.
Okay.
But it's part of our program quality measures that students must earn them.
Mhm.
So our programs are not given the green light to continue if we don't have at least 50% of
Okay.
the students doing that. And it will vary, I mean, I could probably give an aggregate, but it will vary by program for sure.
Mhm.
We have less, for example, like the IRC for culinary is very difficult, and not very many students are successful at it. On the flip side, there are ones that are easier to obtain, and many students get them. So it would be an aggregate number for sure.
Okay.
But I know that the majority of our students walk out of here with IRCs and college credits, for sure. And we know, we did have the slide on how many of the kids were participating in work-based learning, and that's early in the year. We'll have even better numbers in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good question, I'll write that down.
Great.
I think my only feedback, Nicole, is that you can actually enter as an RN with a 2-year degree. It doesn't need to be a bachelor's degree. It's an ADN degree.
Okay.
Only because if you're gonna speak to people and there's nurses in the community, which is actually better for you, because if they're gonna come out of your LNA program, they can actually become registered nurses faster.
Do you remember what slide that was on?
I don't.
We will find it.
Right, the other two things you did mention in that program were the phlebotomy piece and the, what's the other one? So they do LNA, phlebotomy, and the EMT component. And I think, that's something, I know.
Are you talking about the slide here, or my oral
No,
comments?
when you get into,
All the different.
programs,
Yeah.
LNA, yeah, but there's other things to that program that I think.
Right, the students, if they stay 2 years, they
Right.
get 4 things, right, 4
So
credentials.
that kind of incentive to sign up and what you can complete and where you can
Right.
go with it.
Right.
It leads to that pathways piece
Right.
that we are all talking about, where you can go from here.
Right.
And I have one thing. Call them students, not kids. I'm sorry, but I just think they're moving up, they're out of elementary school and they're, professionals, and a lot of them. And that's important to,
For sure.
my feedback from my family.
For sure.
They cringe when they hear that, but anyway.
Any other questions from the board?
I It's a great presentation, and it
Yes.
looks like you spent
It
a
is
lot
very
of
good,
time
yes.
and hard work and thanking them.
Yeah, I think we can probably do the graph thing in time for Monday, so we start Monday.
So the other thing is the dates of where you're gonna be doing your shows.
Yes, Monday night is Addison,
ACC.
Steve, and then January 6th is Mount Abraham, and January 12th is Addison Northwest. So if those are your districts that you sit on their boards, generally you would come to those presentations. Even if you're an at-large person is what I mean, because you'd be there anyway if you were on the board. But if you're at-large from that district, you would usually go.
Usually in the.
Go ahead.
So those are the districts, I'm assuming ACSD is right here in the auditorium?
I don't.
It's in the library.
In the
library.
That's right, it was library last year, yeah.
And Addison Northwest usually meets in their library.
Yeah, at the high
Okay.
school.
And Mount Abraham also usually meets in the library, right? Yes.
So it sounds like library.
Thank
It also puts a face on who you are as a community at large member, because a lot of times the rest of the board has never met you or has any idea, because they also have a member that would report about this, hopefully, this institution on a regular basis. And if you're not doing that, I'm going to encourage you to do that, either in a written format or, again, getting put on the agenda to be able to come and do that and tell maybe a personal story about someone you know that's gone through the program or family member or someone. That puts a personal piece on the lid of the budget, and it helps a lot.
And structurally, what will happen tonight is Kim will ask the board to vote on this. And then we will, at the January meeting, we will ask you to vote on the warrant, the actual, what will be warned. So what the voters will vote on. We're still back and forth with our lawyers a little bit to make sure we have all the wording exactly correctly. And we will show you what that is on the January agenda so that you can then vote on that. But tonight, you will vote on this budget proposal.
Somebody from the budget committee, who's the chairperson, and want to talk about any of that?
Nothing's changed since the last meeting, I believe, but we did have a review this morning by the engineers, the energy recovery engineers at the facilities meeting. And I'm happy to hear that our proposal of doing the roof and the HVAC will save us a bunch of money is correct. So, we're extending the budget a little bit to do the roof and the HVAC, or some argument the HVAC might last a year or two. Pulling up the roof, putting it down and putting the old HVAC, and then putting the new one in is quite expensive. But pulling it up and putting the new one in saves us a lot of money compared to the combined work. And because of that, there's a few other upgrades I think that they're gonna squeeze in on the same budget. So we're not gonna go back and ask for a lower budget, but that money.
Well, I think that's the conversation if the bond issue comes up at one of these board meetings. Those are the types of things that educate the other board members in the group to say, oh, and then they're gonna do this, this, and this. And they've really thought out a process of how to spend that money. And it isn't, we're just throwing money out.
Yeah, no,
Kim, can I ask another
Go
question?
ahead.
Did I miss it? Is there a slide in there about the proposed bond and what we want to do at North Campus?
Yeah.
There was,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, so.
Yeah,
good.
but I think the additional comments from,
Yeah, would be very.
hi, you're on the
okay.
budget committee. This is what came up and why.
Okay.
And a historical piece is very important to people.
Okay.
You'll find out.
Yeah,
You will
no.
find out.
No, there was a lot of discussion. We had 3 or 4 different scenarios.
Right.
And we tried to go with what really needs to be done and do it in a way that was gonna optimize our value by combining 2 critical things together. There's a long laundry list of other things that are needed at the campus, and that money is not, that's not the big money. It's the roof and the HVAC.
It's the necessary items.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, and I think those are the conversations I know in past 20 years ago, Mount Abe trying to add an addition on and so on. What really fixed a lot of it was concerns with safety and in turning it in that direction versus just, we're gonna build another swimming pool. Those type of realistic conversations with the public whenever you get that chance. So I suggest you be prepared for that. It's really important.
And the amazing Jillian pulled up the statistics that Christina had asked for. So we had 189 total concentrators, so those are students who finish a program. And of those, 72%, 136 earned that Tier 1 credential, which is the first step of the credential. Then another 50% earned the Tier 2, which is the more rigorous credentials, like the EMT or the ASC certification. 50% earned college credit, and 50% participated in work-based learning. And we know that that number is going to be much higher this year because Jessica is amazing.
And the state continues to
Right.
up that every
Right.
year. Also, the requirements continue to go
I'll
up.
just also add the context to that. New for this year is a requirement that not only each program offers the requisite Tier 2 credentials, but now 50% of students must attain those credentials. That is new to our teachers, and we're working very hard to support them in reaching that level, but that is likely to produce a higher number than 50% this year.
I think that's a big deal.
It is a
That's
big deal.
showing more than just the students hanging out here,
Yes, yes,
playing, tinkering with cars.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
How many go on to some other secondary education?
Have that on?
Or accreditation, because that's another question that always comes out. I mean, some go right into the workforce, obviously, but others do go on. And we know you have that number.
Let's see, 47% went on to college, 37% went into the workforce, 5% went into further training.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's a big number for people. You know, a lot of them don't think they do anything after this.
Yeah, that's the product. That's the product.
Any other questions? David?
While we're on the budget, I just wanted to talk about the warning and the suggestion of us putting the $1 million on the warning. Can we have that conversation real quick?
For our newer board members, you're gonna have to back it up a little bit.
So we have a warning that we send out. We'll vote on it in the January meeting. That warning has articles. The first part is the part that we vote on here at the annual meeting, which will be February 15th. I think it's the 15th. And then the second part of the article is what we will be voting on March 3rd, to vote at the Australian ballot. There was a question as to whether we are planning in this budget, we're planning to borrow $1 million, which equates to about a $78,000 principal and interest payment a year for 20 years.
For the North Campus.
For the North
renovations.
Campus renovation. There was a proposal for us to put that on an article in the warning so that it's a little bit more transparent. We've talked to the lawyers and the lawyers said no, because it's not a bond, and it's a financing that's in the budget. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there. Happy to get into further discussions, but we are in the midst of talking to the lawyers to finalize that. There are a couple of other articles that they had a little questions about, so I think we will be finalizing that warning and we'll vote on that at the next meeting. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. That $1 million article will not be in the
Won't be separated,
won't be separated out.
but it'll be in the budget.
It's
So
in the
it's either
budget,
or
it's
no
just not
budget.
separated out
No.
because it's not a bond.
And we'll have that as an action item on the January agenda.
Thank you.
So there'll be plenty of time for questions.
Conversation and so on. And if in the meantime you have a question, Dave's the man, talk to him, or business office in general. Steve?
So I don't know where this would go on the agenda, but it is about the budget and we're about to vote on it. And this is not for action this year, but there's some things that I have been watching happen, and being the financial stick in the mud that I am known to be, I ran some numbers on the money that we're spending, and even I was a little surprised. So right now, in terms of operation, when I add the cost for the director, the assistant director, and the director of operations, which I listed as $95,000, which I think is right, I get a total cost of $687,000, which is 11% of our budget, or roughly 11% of our budget. That seems high to me, and I think that we need to address that. The other thing is that we hear all the time about we've got a new contract with teachers, and we've got a new contract that has these built-in wages. And when I total all the costs for the program, for all programs, what I call above the director's line, I get $2.5 million. That's the cost for all the programs, and that is all the people involved and other expenses. When I go below the line and I total everything except debt and most of the operations budget, I get about $2 million. So yes, wages and benefits are going up, but I think it's the administration as much as it is the teachers. And again, I'm not asking for an action right now. I'm asking for, when we talk about how expensive we are, these are some questions that we should be asking. And I'm not trying to single anybody out. I think everybody does a great job here. But when we get down to brass tacks, we are supporting 155 FTEs. And we're doing it with high overhead costs. And so
Where is that information from, by the way?
This is scenario 2. I took this was the presentation to the budget committee, and when I got those numbers, I started doing the adding. So
was that presented to the budget committee?
it was presented. It was presented to the whole board. And
I mean, your information.
Well, the adding the numbers together and the percentages, those are my calculations.
So they haven't seen it. The budget committee hasn't seen that information. Is that correct?
We talked a little bit about it,
But they haven't seen it.
We haven't.
No.
It was so late in the cycle that this is not a discussion for this year, but it is something that needs to be on.
I'm concerned about the fact of this discussion right now, and it wasn't even brought to the budget committee. That's the way we're supposed to be working.
No, it was, we did discuss it, it's in the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it information there? Any
We didn't
questions?
discuss numbers, we discussed.
Concepts.
So, was there discussion with Nicole in regards to who does what and those types of responsibilities that are listed on that?
Yes, we got a list of who does what in the and that was not at the request of the budget committee. That's information that was provided before. So that's why I'm saying not now. This is not something we have to talk about now, but it is a red flag I think that we need to address.
So you're seeing a red flag, and I guess my concern is why it wasn't completely vented and talked about at the budget committee meeting, and it's coming up now?
May I add a little?
Go ahead. Oh, Liz, thank you.
And I would say that we did have a great conversation, and Steve is reflecting that in what he's sharing. And I think, because we got right into so many factors, right? And one being the requirements of a district, no matter what size they are, tend to have similar administrative requirements. So when you have a very small district, those requirements still remain, and the staff required to do so, right? So I don't know, Steve, add more, but I do feel like we're having good conversations, and part of the idea was to have some of this with the full board, perhaps? Is that what you were thinking, Steve?
Yes, because I think the budget committee deciding where the budget needs to be cut is a little premature. I think that's a larger board decision, and that's why I wanted to bring it to this level. Because we have been talking about this in the budget committee, and it's not like this is coming out of the blue. Bill?
So one of the other things that I just wanted to say, kind of an observation, is there are people on the board who don't go back to another board and sit in the hot seat and say, what the hell are you guys doing? Pardon my French. And that's, I think, where this is coming from, but it's something that does need to be looked at and needs to be addressed. But The rest of us don't actually always think about that. And I'm glad you did bring it up.
Anybody else?
In terms of adding programs without cutting, we now believe there's a process that's forming that will help us decide what the programs, what the criteria is to drop a program. I think Austin has been developing, is that your wish to develop a procedure that will eventually help us decide what program?
I think, yeah, the policy committee has taken on formalizing a board policy on class size and attendance and,
So there are a few things in gears.
Yes. And you'll be hearing more from the policy committee when we talk about the class size stuff, but administratives and proportions and those sorts of things, that's coming from the budget side. And so not everybody on all those committees has heard both sides of that, and I think it's a big picture question that we need to address, is why I brought it up.
I look forward to more discussion on that at board meetings, because I think it's what we're supposed to do is use the community's money wisely, and it certainly bears more conversation to me, I think.
I mean, I can add a perspective from Addison Northwest. That particular line item in our budget, admin, is always an area where we get hammered. Even when, so just FYI.
And your number is 3%, 5%?
No, I think it's a little higher, but
okay.
yeah, but it's, yeah.
Any other contributions to the conversation? Well, and I think it's important as policy or facilities or budget people. You have your subcommittee meetings, and yes, it's put it on paper and we have minutes and so on, but I think that, a need to be put on the agenda prior to, which Nicole and I do, to have a general conversation is not a bad idea. I think it also can identify what maybe some of these positions are doing in regards to a job description. And I think that's something that's an important piece right now. We're in a funny time where advertising is something that a normal budget doesn't have to do. Yeah. And this piece, we haven't talked about it yet. It's fantastic, and it has not been inducted for the 20 years that I've been here. This is like the most refreshing piece, along with the town report. Got great feedback from a lot of people about, bringing it to life and to show a little bit about what we do over here. And those are the selling points that unfortunately we have to go through as a school that is challenged to get enrollment here and challenging to, keep the students here. And those are things that looking at the rest of the state, people are looking at. We have a very, very high reputation of being very professional. We put a lot of things students back into the workforce immediately, whether it's just in this county or in the hospital system. I see it all the time. And that the quality of the programs need to be, we need the PR and the website's better, all those pieces. So if you have a concern, I think about, the spending and who's doing what, I would suggest you go and talk to Nicole. And I think you guys have a little bit, but I would recommend a one-on-one conversation to, I do that on a regular basis, only because I'm concerned about it too. But I can also sell it in the toilet paper aisle when somebody says, who did this? Who put this together? Who does the newsletter? Who does the webpage? Who does the placement of students and goes out and does all of those things? You don't have to do that amount of it. So again, I concern myself with the fact that, through the last 20 years, watching maybe one or two people try to do it, and it was not successful. So as a package, I see our enrollment possibly going up with those types of things. But again, sometimes you have to spend money to bring people in. But anyway, that's just, again, my own personal opinion. And if you have a question about any of the responsibilities in the committee, though, you're welcome to attend those meetings, by the way. That is something that's allowed. You may not be able to vote on anything, but you're allowed to attend them if you're concerned about what's going on. So in front, I have the approval of the current budget numbers, which are listed, and this is just within the at the table. We'll put together the, as time progresses and we get information from David and legal about what the warrant will look like before we have to put that together in February. And that's what we send out to the public. So, I entertain a motion to approve the budget for FY27.
So moved.
Dan, second?
Oh, Bill's got it.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
I,
Anybody opposed?
Point of order, Kim.
Thank you.
We need an amount in that motion.
Can you put
Okay, thank you.
that up? Thank you.
yeah, we didn't actually look at the budget tonight, right?
Right.
So I don't know if
For
we
what we
want
saw
to do
here.
that. Or I guess it's in the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I'm just pulling it up here. I think I'm going in the right direction.
I know, right?
Here we go. $6,271,915.
72 cents.
There you go.
We don't publish the 72 cents, by the way.
So we round up.
So we round it.
Immaterial.
So then would it be $916 instead of $950?
That's what's on this sheet.
Line 16 o'clock.
Yeah.
In there?
I think the person making the motion needs to include that.
Okay.
Thank you. That's-
So-
yeah.
So we need you to
You
include.
need to
Oh.
include that.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the budget of $6,271,916 for fiscal year 27.
Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Right.
All those opposed, please let us know. Seeing none, any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next, approval of the electrical program. We may be hearing an update.
Thank you, Kim. I think this topic is a great follow-on to both the discussion of finances at the Career Center as well as Nicole's roadshow and our mandate to deliver high-wage, high-skills programs here at the Career Center. So I am here to review with you the work that we have done to develop an electrical technology program at the Career Center and to seek your approval of this program. The following elements are what the Agency of Education requires I present to you tonight, so I will go through them. The first one is alignment to labor market needs. And with all CTE programs, they can't be developed at a whim, but need to be established based on the needs of the community as well as the needs of the students. I can gloss over the first paragraph about Vermont as a whole. I'm sure anybody in this room who has faced an electrical problem in their house and has tried to hire a contractor can understand the shortage that we have of electricians in Vermont and the need to increase that number. The second part of it speaks more to the needs of the students in Addison County and beyond, and to the needs of this school to increase our enrollment. There were 49 students across the state of Vermont last year who applied to electrical programs and who were turned away due to lack of seats. With those 49 students, 3 additional classes at minimum of electrical technology could have been served in this state. And we are excited to be able to try to provide that to students. I think our students are very savvy and understand how beneficial the construction building trades are and how remunerative and rewarding the electrical technology program could be for them. And I imagine that we are going to see quite an interest as the applications start rolling in. The next portion of this is a review of the scope and sequence, which you had access to in the digital version of this that was sent to you and which I hope you have reviewed. If you could just click on that link to pull it up, David. The agency requires a full curriculum to be written for the program when you're seeking approval. And in order to create this document, I did extensive research by talking with nearly every electrical technology instructor in the state, as well as the head of the program at VTSU. What is very interesting about electrical technology as a program is it is one that has a direct pipeline into a state-level apprenticeship. So it's very important that our curriculum be aligned so that students have a pathway into the 4-year apprenticeship program that earns them the classroom time and the apprenticeship hours to become a journeyman and then a master electrician in Vermont. So the curriculum is written such that over 2 years, students are not only attaining the program proficiencies required by the state of Vermont in electrical technology, but also will earn the first year equivalent to the first year of the apprenticeship program at VTSU. So this is a huge gain for our students because they're earning both hours as well as classroom time, so it would culminate in their taking the year 1 exam and essentially be able to move right into year 2 if they are interested in this career. If you just sort of scroll down a little bit through the unit by unit breakdown, David, you'll see that this is a very skill-heavy trade and is required that students obtain not only the electrical proficiencies, but as well as the general, you can just sort of keep going through. Those are all of the learning targets, and you can see that there's math and science heavily embedded in here. And then keep going down into the blue area. And in each unit, you'll see in blue where students are learning NCCER, the construction core, as well as NCCER electrical requirements, and as well as the VTSU electrician apprenticeship program. So I've sort of laid this out, and of course, the experts whom we hire in this will have a better and more robust say, but the idea is that students are earning all of these certificates by working through this program. So that is an overview of the scope and sequence. In terms of some of the pragmatics of the program, this is structured as a 2-year half-day program, and ideally we will have a level 1 in our morning session and a level 2 in our afternoon session. The first year, I imagine we can easily fill 2 sections of level 1, and then the next year be able to offer a section of level 1 and level 2. And students will earn 3 credits, as with all of our technical programs, and we are recommending they be 1 science, 1 math, and 1 elective credit. I directed to address if there's any busing or scheduling issues that would be prohibitive, and there are not. We would have the same format as students attending for any of our other programs that we offer here. So this is probably the point at which I see if you have any questions before I seek your approval to launch this program.
Has it been approved by the state yet?
So we have submitted the application and they are reviewing it now, and they will not approve it or deny it until they have the minutes from this meeting saying that the board approves it. That's a good question.
How many, just for my own knowledge and how long it takes to go through the journeyman process, whether it's hours or training or a combination of both, to get your license?
It's 8,000 hours for the master electrician, I think 4,000 hours for the journeyman electrician. It's a massive amount of time, and we'll be able to get the students on a head start to the apprenticeship hours as well, with Jess's help in their work-based learning placements.
Steve?
So we have the basic structure of the program. Do we have an instructor, or do we have that's one question. And the second question is, much of our education, especially in something like the construction trades, is work-based. Education. Do we have people lined up to take on students, or is that going to come later?
Good questions. The application to the agency requires that we have a fully written job description, so we have that written. I posted it this week with a pending after it. So one of the hardest things will be to obtain an instructor. So the program's viability somewhat depends on finding an instructor for the program. So that remains to be seen. The application also requires a full workup of how work-based learning would work, what types of work-based learning, whether they're shadows, paid or unpaid, internships, et cetera, we'd aim for. And so as part of that, I've already worked with Jess to contact electricians and electrical companies in our area to be able to prove that we have enough partnerships available to take on our students.
In partnership, are you working at all with the IBEW, the union? Because you're talking about getting hours towards apprenticeship. Are you working directly with anybody from their labor organization?
Right, the issue is that it's a chicken and egg. We can't really go out to them and say we want to partner until we get approval, but we can't get approval until we say we have a teacher. It's a very strange system.
Okay.
When the board gave us approval to try this last time, we did actually have somebody who was willing, that we had kind of on the line to teach, but that person has subsequently become employed and loves their job. So we would have to do this again. But for sure, the point is to connect the students with the labor unions so that they can have those high wage jobs, right? And as soon as we get, assuming we get on our call today with AOE, they said that it would be early January. So as soon as we get a thumbs up, it will be our first call, is whatever the labor group is, right? And we already, like Jillian said, we actually already posted the job with the hopes that we get approval.
Dan?
The 3 credits on that, change the slide just in time. 3 credits per year, science, math, and elective. Is that besides this training, or is that, how does it?
That's what appears, that's what the sending school puts on their transcript. So 6 credits over the course of 2 years. If they take the 2-year program, they'll get 2 credits in math, 2 credits in science, and 2 electives.
This training here.
Yes, and all that encompasses all of the training, the knowledge, the certifications.
Okay, so that elective would be like the humanities credit by coming here? And
The counselors at the sending schools kind of have discretion as to how they use that. For example, at MUHS, they have a design requirement. So if the student needs the design requirement, they could apply it toward that. Or at VUHS, they have a technology requirement, and at their discretion, they could apply that to that if the student already has fulfilled their elective credits.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good.
Judd?
Is there any path to getting also some sort of an English or language credit? I know that when I try to reprogram my variable frequency drive for one of my machines, to go through the operator's manual and find the chapter and verse and understand what it is asking me to do and how to interact that with something that only has 3 buttons but has 10,000 options, there is a whole lot of connecting the dots that you have to do, and a familiarity with language. And I don't know if that's, even if it could be a half a credit or something, but man, language is a big deal.
Well, you don't have to convince me, you're talking
Right.
to an English teacher, so I mean, absolutely. So the only classes that we have at the Career Center that have embedded English are taught by one, a certified English teacher, and another who has, the college has, granted her adjunct status for English. So English is a lot harder to convince the sending schools to grant credit for. That has been the theory. So we'd have to get a real crackerjack instructor who could, vouch for being able to teach the writing, reading, speaking, and listening strands in addition to all this stuff.
Okay, never mind then.
Anything is possible.
Good question.
Question I have is, first, is this junior, senior year?
Yes.
Okay, so they can't take any of it before then?
No, it's as a technical program, I mean, perhaps 10th graders with approval, as is the case with all of our programs, but it would be 11th and 12th.
Okay. Can they then take a half day working in the field? Does it work that way, or do they have to go back to their sending school for that other half day?
If they're lacking credits still to graduate, they would need to go back for however many classes they need to take to graduate.
And are they eligible if they have those other credits? Can they start like their second semester working for an electrician? doing things like that? I know I'm asking you questions, you've just done a great job putting all this stuff together, and you're like, leave me alone.
Not at all. I mean, we have students who do that in work-based learning who spend their afternoons.
I would jump in and say yes.
Okay.
If the student is in good standing at their sending school so that they're on track to graduate, and if their schedule is such that they don't really have to be at their sending school as a senior, which is often the case, they will just go basically straight to work. They have a 20% of their time has to be spent in the class here. So what that would look like is a student coming in on Monday and then going to work 4 days a week. And in fact, we have one student in construction tech already doing that with an electrician, and in January we'll have a second one. So yes, they very much could start working, and then there's another process by which some of those hours that they work through co-op and the Career Center can be applied to their 8,000 hours at the discretion of the Department of Labor, which, so there's a path for it, yes.
Thank you.
Jillian, a question, conversations with Sunday school counselors, have we had that already?
Yes, through presenting the new program of studies to them, and of
Okay.
course, highlighting that this is a new program. It's all anecdotal, but they are thrilled, and they say the kids are just going to be very, very on board with this.
So, and that's the
This is the
question
one-
that Nicole's gonna get, when she goes over there.
Yeah, this is the one that the counselors have been sort of begging
Oh,
for,
good.
because the
Good to hear.
students are.
Any other questions? Okay, so we need a,
I will work with
Bill?
it. So, we tried to do something similar like this last year, is that true?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And we were turned down.
It was a plumbing/electrical program,
Okay.
and I believe they said that was not.
Well, it was because we also were doing welding at the same time.
They only allow you to apply for one program a year.
Okay.
and that always alarms people when I tell them that, they go, what?
Yeah, it was new to us at that stage.
Yeah, but I mean, has anybody answered that?
Now they're
Department of
sticking
Labor?
with it, but, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion to approve electrical as a new major, I guess. Whatever
the-
specific wording you need, you
The
tell them.
administration recommends the board take action to approve the establishment of an electrical technology program at the Hannaford Career Center.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
In a second from Bill? What, Linda? Right. You okay? Right in the paragraph? Anyway, all those in favor, please either raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Thanks for
Thank you
doing
very much, Phil.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
all that
you.
work.
Tremendous amount of work.
We hope that works out.
Good luck on the approval, yes.
We'll let you know as soon as we hear from Haley.
There'll be a big flag going up. Next, from the superintendent. There's been a request to have a superintendent evaluation committee, just for some of the new members. Last year, Steve and I did it with Nicole. It's done mutually together. There was a form put together a couple of years ago. We have that. We have to form and accept a committee to be able to move on in that process. And at this point, and correct me if I didn't get it right, but Christina and Liz and myself have volunteered to join that committee along with working with Nicole. So I need a motion to establish this committee.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, in a second. All right, thank you very much for doing that. And to move things along, there is a sample evaluation that is out there. It can be sent around to everybody, and
Right, in your pack email, I sent both a blank copy and the thoughts that I had to get you started. So you should have both of those documents in your email.
thank you.
Can I just want to throw out there, does anybody else want to join the committee? Because if you do, now's the time to say yes.
I'll join as well.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for sending that email, Nicole. Did you send it today?
No, I sent it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it was-
Oh, okay,
yes.
the one from a couple of weeks.
But if you didn't get it and you need it sent again, just let her know.
I'm sure I have it.
And there'll be, I'm sure there'll be some discussion about, past evaluations, Informer, what everybody else does.
Yeah.
That's the part that's really helpful, what the sending schools do. And, we can come back with some of that information, and I'm sure that changes yearly also.
Yeah, so our next step will be to set a meeting, right?
Okay.
Can you
We have a,
Tell me who the other people were on the board. on
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
committee.
So it'll be Liz, Sarah,
That's
Bill, and Christina with the K, and myself, and Nicole. All right, all those in favor of doing that?
I,
Anybody opposed? Seeing, thank you. Thank you very much. So there was a comment about possibly doing it online.
Oh, right, on Zoom,
Yeah,
yes.
and Zoom, doing something like that, just for everybody's schedule. Because it is, the evaluation contractually is supposed to be done in Nicole's hands by February. So we don't have a lot of time, but at the same time, we have forms and all the other stuff that we put together a few years ago to help with that process. So do take the time to look at it. If you have a question, call somebody in this group to hopefully get some sort of answer. Some of the things you're not gonna probably be able to fill out. What conferences she went to or whatever, trainings and things like that. That's a pretty normal process.
So just a quick update. The day after, I think, our last meeting, Nicole shared with everybody her going through that document and doing her own evaluation. And then she sent a blank out to everybody so that we could do it as well. So it should be in your mail. For those of you who are new, Nicole will probably send it to you again.
So just a point of clarification, is the committee gonna meet and review the evaluation before we ask the whole board to do it, or are we just going to?
That's traditionally what you do, I think, with subcommittees. Yeah. That's what I'm
Okay, so
saying.
that's
We
what we're
meet-
gonna do first.
Yeah,
So
if we
nobody
meet-
should fill anything out yet until we.
Right. But I also think we need to give a deadline of some sort too, for
Yeah.
input, so we're not sitting here waiting for somebody last minute who said, oh, I forgot to fill it
I'm
out.
confused. So we sent the evaluation out. Doesn't everybody need to do it? And then the review committee actually takes a look at all of them coming in so that we can be prepared for the January meeting, which actually is like January 8th.
That's my understanding.
I'm just based on how it works in other districts. My district, evaluation committee meets, they decide on the evaluation process, what the forms are gonna be, and then sends it out to the whole board. But if everybody's cool with just taking what exists, I guess we can do it.
My thought
that
is,
way.
do we have the time if it has to be in by February? Because I don't think we do. So.
How much time do you need? Guess that's my question.
well, I think what he's saying is that if you're gonna change the forms before we fill them out, is there gonna be enough time?
Well,
So it's not the question of what we need, it's like, what are the tools that are available to us? If we use what's out there now, yes, we can get that done. I'm sure we can get that done, but if you change the forms, this committee's meeting to change the forms.
so just a point of clarification, that particular form is part of my contract, right? It was agreed to as part of my contract. So you would have to negotiate with me to change the form.
The actual form is part of the contract? No, I didn't know
Yes.
that.
I guess we have our decision.
Well, I just never hear that.
Yeah,
All right.
it's part of the contract. It was agreed upon when she came in.
Your question is good.
And she had that input at the time to be able to do that.
Okay. Very good, good to know.
Okay. So does
And
that
that
answer your
document's
question?
fillable.
Yeah, so we need to fill them out and
Yes,
get
we can
them in.
Yes, fill them out and get them in. The sooner the better.
So I think we should pick a deadline,
I agree.
since we're gonna just go for it.
Yep.
So,
Can it be after Christmas, please?
oh yeah, I mean, the committee will
Santa's
probably
tired.
meet maybe prior to the next board meeting, or
Yeah, isn't the next board meeting the 8th of
It's
January?
the
It's the
15th. I just
15th.
looked it up.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. There's
I
a, I
saw
think there's
something
a
January
budget
8th.
meeting,
Okay.
committee meeting.
So, does it have to be finalized by the board meeting, Nicole, or is there like an end of February date, or?
Let me pull the contract, I think it is the end of February.
Okay, by the
Yes.
27th or,
Right.
okay, so we do have some time, we have
Yes.
2 months.
And it is not the end of the world if the board, but let's try.
I'm trying to get back on track. We were bad last year.
I don't know, is filling it out by January 9th reasonable or January 16th better?
9th sounds good.
9th is fine.
9th is fine. Liz, how are you on the 9th? If we did elect on Zoom,
Well, no, I'm meaning the board having till January 9th to fill out the
Deadline.
evaluation. And then we would meet the following
Okay.
week somewhere.
so when do you want to meet?
And then meet on Zoom on the 14th?
Bill, does that work for you?
That works.
What time?
Morning, afternoon?
Morning for me, anytime. Bill, morning, afternoon?
Pick it. I'll figure it out.
Okay. Liz, how about you?
Yeah, I can do it morning.
I can too, so.
Okay.
And then the other thing was that I remember, Nicole, you having mentioned to us that it's less of the check mark or not check mark, that it's more about the feedback. So I forget if this form has space for specific feedback.
Yeah, there's, the check mark is kind of in the middle of the form, and then there are expandable fillable boxes on the right of each indicator, so you can put mini comments. And then there are also, at the very end of the form are big text boxes to write just general ideas about areas of accommodation or whatever, and then general ideas about areas for future goal setting.
Awesome, thank you. So I guess I just encourage everybody to think about those things, right? Even, compliments as well, so that we have hopefully a lot to work with when we meet. A lot of useful information to work with when we meet would be great, like rather than just yes or no, right? So we could do a good job for you, Nicole. Thank you.
Yeah, we have quite a few new board members, so just some context is when we were developing this tool to use for the evaluation, my input to the board was, I have seen boards just agonize over, is it a 2.3 or is it a 3.2, and just spend a lot of time where, for me as receiving of the feedback, it's just so much more helpful to me to know if I've met or not met your need, and then what to tell me about that, right? To give me the actual feedback, because it's that is what will guide my work.
What time did we say on the 14th?
10 a.m.? And just FYI, we did this last year and only a handful of people, maybe less than a handful of people filled this out. So it's really important. It's one of our primary roles as school board members is to do this evaluation. Thank you.
So if we fill this form out online, do we reply, send it to you, Nicole, and you'll give it to the committee, or will the committee or somebody on the committee will receive these emails?
How do if we say we send it to Christina or myself?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you're done with it, whatever you've done, and if you feel you can't answer some of the questions, that's fine. Please let us know and why. And if you're new or you weren't involved in that process, you're not on that committee, whatever it is, the response. And we'll take that into consideration. But a lot of times, you haven't been exposed to some of it, so it's understandable that you wouldn't know. Any other questions about that? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for volunteering to do that. It's important to get more input than, like I said, last year. And Steve and I did it, and it was sort of last minute, only because we were way behind. Next, as report for 2.4 financial planning and budgeting.
That one's mine. So this is a quarterly policy we look at. It dovetails with policy 2.3, which is a bit more detailed. And this policy in particular outlines the district's overall financial planning processes with respect to our budget. And in general, the financial plans aim to avoid risk. They aim to avoid financial jeopardy, and they're grounded in this multi-year framework and approach. So I'll just summarize the talking points in this policy. Essentially, we use internal controls to monitor revenues and expenditures. We code our chart of accounts according to the state's system. It's called the Uniform Chart of Accounts. And so we use separate accounting code structures for revenues and expenses in different bank accounts and different funds to monitor everything. For purchases, for the large part of our purchases, we use a purchase order system, which has an approval process baked into that. For things like health insurance and other expenditures, we don't use a PO, but for the large majority of purchases, we do. We monitor cash flow on a pretty tight basis. I gave a report earlier in the meeting about our line of credit standing, and we watch cash on a daily basis to make sure we can meet payroll and other financial obligations. And that's really the bulk of it. The last part of the policy mentions that we don't really have any unapproved programs or additional expenditures that have not already been approved in this budget. And the last piece I'll share is sort of dovetailing with all of this is we've kicked off the FY25 audit process. So as you remember in the last audit meeting or last board meeting, we had a presentation from our auditor on the FY24 audit. And after a lot of work, we were able to finalize that and now shift gears into finalizing FY25. So that's work on that is ongoing. We're hopeful to have a site visit in the next month or two once we can get our books in tip-top shape for the auditors and off we go. But back to the policy, I guess, I'll turn it over to the board if there are questions about the content in that policy.
We need a motion to accept that.
So move.
Second. Financial planning and budget, you have the number and everything. Thank you, Lynn. In a second, all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Next, second reading on policy 1A.
Yeah, if I could just speak just a minute about these. All of these were posted for a first read, and where we found them in the minutes, we listed them there. And what happened is there was never a second read. So we couldn't find that we had passed them as a board, and that's what's going on here. So you have seen them. If you have any questions about them, they're there. If you have any specific questions, there's an expert on the policy committee that is responsible for each of these policies. We can go through them one at a time, or we could blanket approve them on second read. So, second read.
Point of order, can we do those separate? Do we need to do them separately? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, the second one? You want to talk about policy 20?
Well, I mean, that was kind of a blanket statement about all of these, because they all fit into that category.
All the numbers 5 through 10.
All the A's.
Yeah, number 5 through 9 are all policies that are eligible for second read that the board has already seen for the first time, and
10 as well?
oh, I must be looking at
B3.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The online agenda doesn't have number 10 on there, so sorry.
So I could move that we
Well, that's number 10.
group adopt
Is D3.
number 5 through 10 from the agenda.
Yes, I think that would be.
I would second that.
So Dan, second that. Any questions from anybody?
I have a comment, and that just for Bill, we have the line throughs. And it's clear that a lot of these are just minor updates and things like that. But the line through is set up so that it looks like all the Hannaford specific stuff is crossed off, but Shannon knows how to accept and reject the suggested changes so that it's a fairly simple process to incorporate these new formatting and things like that, so.
Cool, okay.
Can I also add a clarification, because on what we discovered in our policy committee meeting is that some of these policies had, the copies we were looking at had the dates that were warned, recorded, and first reads, and the dates were incorrect. So we got really confused about what was going on, and then we had to go back and look in the minutes, and so just FYI, when we finalize these things, we just want to make sure we are confirming the date of the first read is correct, the date it was warned, and then the date we're adopting.
Yeah, I mean, these formats say date first read, but it doesn't have date second read, but date warned.
Yeah.
So if you look at, for instance, at D3, what do we want to have for the final date adopted? Would that be approved by today and second read?
Yeah,
Yes.
or it's kind of maybe a matter of formality, but I guess, I don't know, Shannon, are you the one that finalizes these, or who does that?
The policy committee, that's.
Whatever you guys do.
I just move it to the website.
Oh, we're expected to finalize the document itself? Okay.
So that's accepting the changes and cleaning it up and then sending it in?
Yeah,
Oh.
and send it to her.
I don't, we haven't.
I get the.
We haven't been doing that, no.
Finalize.
No, we have not been doing that, I don't think. I
mean,
thought,
can,
I was under the assumption the red line version goes to somebody and then they fix it up and they post it on the website, but that's not been happening. That might explain why these dates are.
That's why.
All right, okay.
So if you look at a policy on the format that we have, date warned would be the equivalent of the first read. Date adopted would be the equivalent of the second read. First read and second read is old nomenclature because it's really just there's a 10-day warning between the time that it's presented and the time that it's adopted. But you know, those kind of traditions die hard. So first read and second read is the way we normally
warned first read. Okay.
So date warned and date adopted would be equivalent of first read and second read.
I think maybe the problem with this is that not all of us work in Google Docs, so our formatting is not gonna be what formatting is that you guys use. So I'm not sure how we address that.
But that, I don't know that that's a
But yeah,
discussion for
right,
what we're doing right now.
we can figure it out, yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
and let's do it, so we'll get
Other
this
questions?
finalized.
yeah.
You guys all set?
Yeah.
Back. All right, so we have a motion on the floor, 5 through 10, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. And all those in favor of accepting the corrections and all the other little goodies that have been suggested, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Seeing none? Thank you. We know how much work that is. And still not done yet. That's okay, you're close. How are other policies? Are you guys like in the midst of things or end of things?
You don't know. I really would not get into it.
You wanna ask that question right now?
There's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, because it hasn't been done for a while.
Well,
Some of these were modified the hour after we approved them. So
Yes.
we're back
Right.
doing these minor changes. Yeah, we're pretty close up to date, it looks.
and then some of them, it's the procedure of how we do the policy stuff that we're trying to iron out so that we're consistent. So.
Well, thank you again, everyone. Superintendent's report.
So I'd like to start with what you have in front of you, our program of studies. This I am so excited about. This has taken 3 years of work to get to this point. I don't know, so backing up a few steps, before we had Jillian join us, we did not have anybody who was tracking all of the curricular pieces. And in fact, we had been trying to hire somebody for 2 years because it was 2 years before that, we had gotten dinged quite a lot on our outcomes by AOE as part of our Perkins data. And our response was, when they wanted to know how we were going to solve all of the problems that they identified, our response was, and this was before my time, was that we were gonna hire somebody to ensure that we were on track with curricular requirements, that we were on track with the requirements for IRCs, that we were on track with the requirements for college credits, and that we were on track with the requirements for work-based learning. Because they are always changing in CTE. It's not like K-12 education. Every single year, there are changes, and you have to track all of them by program and ensure that they're all authentically followed and that students are getting what they need. Otherwise, they can disapprove your program the very next year. So Jillian spent the better part of her first year and all of her second year tracking down by every single program, by every single class, for every single piece of curriculum, that they had all of the proficiencies required by the AOE standards and by the industry standards, that they had every single IRC required, that they had every single college credit required, and that in every place we listed that program, the exact right information was there and no wrong information was there. And that we branded those across all of the website, social media, flyers, posters, and this document, and when we send it to our sending school districts, so that it looks the same, so that people have confidence that what they're seeing is correct. This was not a small undertaking. And then, once we actually found, Jillian, not we, when Jillian then found the information, she put it together in such a way that was easy to digest for parents, for students, and for counselors. And then our wonderful Lauren made it beautiful and made it fit on the right number of pages and put engaging photographs so that it could serve as both the piece of information that people need and also a marketing material. So this is the final piece of that, and we will now do one of these each year because, as I just said, the requirements change every year. So it does frustrate our sending school counselors that things change every year, but they do. So we made sure that we put the year on the front of this document, and then for the next year, the 26-27 year, there will be this is the 26-7. The next year, there will be a new one with whatever has changed that year. And this is also live on our website. David, can you show them where it is on the website? I don't know. Sure. So we added a new tab, which is the Apply tab, Apply to the center. And under the Apply tab now is this information as well as the actual applications for either pre-technical programs or technical programs. So if you click Apply right there, you will see the, scroll down, there it is right there. And if you click that box, it gets big, and it's a flip book online. So I cannot tell you how, this was one of the things we identified as a big need when we first arrived. And we've been working very hard on it, and so excited that it's finally come to fruition. So.
Beautiful.
Yeah, looks very good.
Yeah. Is this a downloadable document?
I suspect you could somehow download it. It would be a very large document though because of all the pictures and things.
Yeah.
And we try to keep, we're trying to drive people to the website because this will be live with updates.
Yeah.
Whereas anything we print, we're actually doing only short runs of our prints because they may change mid-year sometimes.
You can't download it.
Yeah.
Nicole, does the information in here correspond with the program tab too?
Yes.
It sure does.
It sure
Yes.
does.
I just wanted to double check.
Yes, it does, and that was also not a small undertaking.
No, I would assume that would not be.
And also going around to every program, taking away all of their flyers and brochures.
Yeah.
And replacing them with new ones.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, kudos to all involved.
Yeah,
Yes.
but,
I'm curious, are the pictures all in here current students?
Most of those pictures, well, it's a mixture of this year's students and last year's students. So, because we had Caleb come for a full day last year, so most of those students are still with us, so they're still current students, but I don't know what the ratio. There are some number of students from this actual year and some from last year.
I just know sometimes you get one of these and it's like 6 years ago.
Oh, no, yeah.
So, just
No.
wanna make sure.
Well, and we're hoping that that also
it's
makes it engaging because people see people that they know.
yeah. This might really be a good thing to link to in the annual report too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, good point.
All right, the second part of the superintendent report is Christmas presents. So
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus has come to the school board near you.
Very nice.
You have to wait till everyone has them, so
Don't look at it.
because you might ruin it for somebody else. And those of you online,
There's names on these.
Now, Oh, there
You have to come and get
Thank you.
See, this must be moved down there.
You're welcome.
Drew, you look like Secret Santa. I take all the credit.
Love presents.
Thank you.
I wrapped all those.
Walking around.
I get food here, I get presents here, I get to run microphone.
All right, go ahead and open. Yay. Now this is also a really cool story. So you may know that we have a fantastic partnership with Obishan here in town. And they gave us a very good price on the bugs just plain. And then our very own manufacturing students engraved all of these for you.
Thank you very much. Love useful
Thank you very much.
And that is my superintendent. For an extra charge, you can go see Dan Aaronsmeyer and he'll, put your names on it for you.
So your children don't steal.
That would actually be pretty cool.
My children don't care this stuff anyway.
Mine do. They're like grabbing them.
And then also on your way out today, the culinary students have made you soup. It's not hot to eat now, it's to take home with you. And if you haven't already had a cookie, I think there are a few left over there.
Yeah, they're good cookies.
These two over here.
It's a long meeting.
That's why I said over here.
By the way, I just wanted to thank the three of you for coming in and not getting Christmas presents, but being here and helping us out. Cheers.
Yeah. All right, that's the end of the superintendent's report.
Do you want to talk about the conference you guys just came back from?
Sure. So Wendy and I attended the National Career Technical Education Conference, and they had the biggest, everything in CTE is trending up. They had the biggest attendance they've ever had. Over 6,500 participants were there. It was packed. It was a little crazy. So because it's such a big conference, they have different strands, and you can go to different strands, like an administrative strand or a welding strand or a finance strand or whatever it is. And this year they had added a whole bunch of strands about policy because of the new policies that are coming out of the administration, federal administration, and the change of all of career technical education from the Department of Education to the Department of Labor. There's a lot going on around that. But so we went to a couple of those, but we also spent quite a lot of time going to the strands about the industries, the specific industries. Right now, red hot industries are electrician, medical professions, and construction and manufacturing. They're half the conference were strands about those those things. It was very heartening because oftentimes you go to those things and you feel like you're behind the curveball, right? But I felt like we were well positioned in all of those areas. What we were doing was right on in alignment with the industry. The tools and machinery that we were using was the industry standard, which is not often the case. I mean, it's very hard to keep up with the times with CTE, but we're doing a very nice job. And the content that our teachers were teaching was the right stuff. So that was a huge relief. And then they also have a big pit where you could go, the vendor pit, which is this massive, God, I don't know, 50,000 square foot arena or something. And so we could go and talk to the actual representatives for some of our equipment and find out things about that and service warranties and what we might need to do to add to the next piece. But I learned a ton. I have a notebook of all kinds of ideas that I would probably kill the teachers with if I had them all. But I think we're well poised, and it was very nice to have the ability to see teachers in action and see that that we were in fact right there where we're supposed to be with those programs that are red hot right now.
Have we told our representatives this?
Well, I will probably have the opportunity to do that for sure. It's one of the things I do worry about in the upcoming legislative session. With all the foibles that we have with the funding mechanism and the weird boundary situation and stuff, Vermont is doing a very good job with CTE, especially for a state this size.
It's costing a lot the way it's being done, but I will tell you that we are definitely ahead of the curveball as far as keeping kids industry ready, and it's not easy to do.
On that note, we had a legislative meeting at the hospital with the acting president and soon-to-be permanent president, I will say. And the representation was very good from this immediate area to come in, and they asked some great questions, and some of it in regards to the partnership that we have here. And we got a chance to talk about that. On a different note, one of the obstacles with the LNA program right now is as they do their clinicals at Porter and want to go on and seek employment, I've had a brief conversation not only with the president but with the head of HR in regards to some of these obstacles. And part of it is their age. Part of it is the not having maybe a high school degree right away, but completing a course, whether it's the LNA, phlebotomy, whatever. Anyway, and the obstacles being that there are different guidelines, federal guidelines, in regards to your work and your age and all the pieces, for instance, to work at Helen Porter versus working at the main hospital. So there's a conversation. I got a chance yesterday to bring it up to another level at the UVM level with my first meeting with the UVM board to talk about those obstacles. And it's not a new thing. The other hospitals are having the same pieces of trying to integrate these qualified, certified individuals that want to keep their training and want to keep them in the state. So the combination of that along with the head nursing supervisor and making sure that they have a pathway to go and be successful, if it's an RN or respiratory therapist or whatever they want to do. So the conversation that was really, really nice is it's a global one in the state. And I continue to offer that to them, and I think it's a good thing. They know it's an issue. If we can find a way, Steve will work on that with us, I'm sure. But Steve Loeffler is from Leicester. He is, as of yesterday, been elected as the new president. He did a lot of training right here at Porter. He has several incidents of when he was a youth of having his broken arm and other things treated in the emergency room. So he brings all of that as the local person around here. And he's got a lot of work to do, but he's traveled around and spread his message to quite a few people. You got to give a tour. But very approachable, very transparent. And his big piece is quality. That's what he wants. Quality, and obviously if we can reduce the cost of healthcare along the way, we're going to try to do that too. But just for a little quick update on that. No?
Quick question for your trip to Tennessee. Did they have any kind of a drone program?
They had quite a few drone things. Mostly drone programs are embedded in some other program. They're not a standalone program, just like ours is embedded in our advanced manufacturing program. Many of them are embedded in computer science programs, or that sort of cybersecurity programs, things like that. There were hundreds of vendors of drones.
There was robots and drones all over the place.
And very interestingly, yesterday we had, was it yesterday? Time flies. I think it was yesterday. We had the natural resources game lunch that they do, and they do their advisory meeting at the same time. And one of the projects a student was working on was GIS, doing the GIS mapping, and then one of the advisory people is the head forester, and he was talking about combining that GIS work with the drones. And so we got to cross talk. Now Dan Ahrensmeyer is talking with Aaron Townsend about how do we do some cross pollination of these programs. So it was just a lucky thing. And apparently in the industry, people that are coming in with their drone certification are getting $5,000 bonuses. So it's a skill that's very valuable to students.
The drone and robotics program that Dan is doing on Wednesday nights.
It's fantastic.
I went to a meet that they had this weekend, which was 220 kids. So freaking awkward. It was perfect. They had a ball.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about that is we're getting bridge school kids in. We've got a bunch of sixth graders. We got a bunch of people who are all kind of looking around at the place like, wow, there's some really fun stuff here.
Yeah.
And they look at the high school kids who are really into it. And Dan's doing a great job. And the kids are really enjoying themselves as he has an assistant who's working with them as well.
Steve Lawrence, yes.
And Steve's doing a great job.
He is.
So.
And Dan really, just to, give him some kudos, Dan really gets it both from he genuinely is excited that the kids are excited. And he also understands the importance of marketing his program.
Yep.
So.
He's doing a great job.
He is.
Does he do a traveling show? I'm sure. He did with us. Great, awesome. Committee reports. Budget, I think we heard from them.
Yeah, I think we.
And if there's anything else you want to add to anything that we saw?
That's
Facilities too. Right, yeah, no, I think we covered it.
Okay. Facilities, we'll do yours.
You kind of covered the facilities too, the
Feeling
air
okay?
handler and the stuff at North Campus.
Yeah.
In policy.
Can I ask one question on the air handler facilities? Is this gonna be an improved energy efficiency program, the new HVAC? So the old days, you just blew the air out the roof. Nowadays, they run an air handling exchange. They take the
That's
heat.
the ERU.
That's the ERU. So
Energy
that's what we have already? Do we have
Yes,
one?
that's
And
the
we're
one
just
that
gonna
we're
just replace it?
replacing. The ERU is the big machine on the roof.
Okay.
There's two of them.
And they were also in the meeting this morning, this gets back to something that Nicole was saying is that career centers are hard on air handling units. So one of the things that the gentleman from EEI explained to us this morning was they're now putting in a pre-scrubber filter so that the diesel exhaust from the classroom, as an example, goes through a scrubber before it goes into this very expensive ERU unit. And so that's another one of the updates. So it will then make the ERU last longer and be more functional by having this initial scrubber unit.
And increase the quality of the air in the
Correct.
labs.
Can I ask facilities a question? So if this passes, is there, you have to go out to bid and is the target to have this project worked on this summer or the following summer?
Yeah, so we met with EEI this week to kind of kick off the project.
Because we're doing a roof project too.
Yes. We are still looking to whether, we're looking into the legalese of whether we need to go out for bid to hire EEI. Because EEI is kind of the construction manager who would hire and sub out all the bidders and do that and manage that process. So we're looking into that.
Okay.
Once we figure that out, we will have to go to bid. We will either have to go to bid for a construction manager or we'll go to bid or we won't. And then once we get the construction manager, then the facilities committee will look and study and figure out and scope out the project and we'll come up with a guaranteed maximum price, a GMP contract, which says this is how much it's going to cost. In that time, they'll go out for bid, and then we'll get the bids back, and then we'll get a cost, and then we'll build. The goal is to start this summer.
Okay.
So we're kicking that project off now, so that we can get ahead of the game.
Great. And the previous project, was that an energy performance contract?
So EEI is an energy company.
We did use them in Madison Northwest. So I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was the case, if the re-roofing falls under the auspices of that previous project.
They would love for us to put solar on the roof, so it does kind of fall into that. But yeah.
Their business model is probably changing because of the change in all the credits and everything that's happening as of January 1 so we'll probably get plenty of attention for them wanting work because there's a lot of solar that will not be happening anymore.
That's right.
They're on it. I mean, they had 2 people at North Campus this week looking.
Yeah.
Great. So do you want to talk about negotiations?
Sure, probably most of the negotiations would fall later on during the executive session since it's sensitive, but in general, as Nicole alluded to earlier, we are in the final process of crossing T's, dotting I's to get the staff into their new contract. It'll be retroactive because it technically takes place from July 1st to June 30th. So because it took us all the way into this year to get to where we settled, Austin is having to do, and David, a bunch of legwork to retroactively compensate them above and, as the their new pay should have taken place in starting at July 1. But yeah, we worked. Yes, we had a long and challenging, but ultimately I think quality settlement.
Any questions? Again, there's other details and some we'll talk about later. Work-based learning presentation.
You wanna do policy?
That
What do you
link
need?
button, just hit that link. And then
Policy.
just short, maybe
I thought we
6
already
slides or
did.
so, so I can kind of just.
Did we just vote on all of those? There wasn't any other information?
I'm going to.
There will be more policies to come.
Yeah,
There's
that's
one
what I was
that
gonna ask.
there's one that didn't make it in the.
Okay, you said there's more stuff
In here.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
This slide, we're working on
As Jessica is starting to set up, I just want to make sure to say a few words about her starting here. So just walked in on a situation where we were pretty data poor on understanding what we were doing with our kids and how those outcomes were and where kids were and how many hours they were doing and things like that. And I have been so incredibly impressed with her ability to organize our work-based learning program, correctly align it with what's required with the Agency of Education, and also to make sure that she's tracking where our kids are going and following up with our partners so that they know that thing at the end where you say thank you is a really big important part of working with partners, and Jess has been fantastic at finishing off each of these experiences with kids with gratitude toward our partners. So I just can't say enough about the turnaround in this part of our programming since Jess has come on board.
Thank you. So I'm actually giving a work-based learning presentation tomorrow morning to the 10th graders who are visiting from Mount Abe. I've done that this year for all of our 10th graders, and I'm realizing I wish I had a bunch of the pictures in that presentation for you guys, so when I do this again, it will be less boring and it will have more pictures. But basically, I came before a board meeting late last year in the spring, and basically this is where we were at. We had 75% of the programs participating and 25 not. And then we had a series of categories of people participating, and the language there is language that I was kind of using because I wasn't yet versed in the Agency of Education's language and the way that they have a special word for every word that we all use. So that's why you see multiple categories there, but you can see the bulk of, there were a lot of job shadows and there were a lot of kids that were doing paid co-ops, which is where they are, getting paid to do the work that they're learning about in their programs here. Some internships and then some project-based stuff. The next slide, this is a really dry one, but it basically shows the how the categories have shrunk, and on the bottom we're using those terms this year. We're using them on the website, in the program of studies, in the students' paperwork, and so they exactly mirror the Agency of Education. And so looking at this year's data so far, you'll see fewer categories, and that's why. Hazardous occupations is another thing that I've dug into this year because, well, I had to, but also because I finally had baseline knowledge to understand what it meant. And this has also been an interesting subject for me because with respect to the 10th grade presentations, I've come to realize that these hazardous occupations and the student learner exemption that is, are people familiar with this? Should I okay, go back a step, okay. So the federal government has declared about, I think there's about 18 or 20 professions, very broadly described, that they say are too dangerous for minors to engage in. Flat out, you can't do it. Everything from working in coal mines to working with power-driven bakery machinery to excavation, roofing. There's a long laundry list. Then somewhere along the line, someone said, but wait, we can make some exemptions to these for students who are in career technical education centers around the country. And they're called student learner exemptions, and basically what they allow is if a student is associated with a CTE center and that is properly documented and the instructor and the employer both sort of sign off on additional paperwork explaining what they've trained the student in, and then the employer how the student will use the dangerous equipment and under what conditions and with what supervision, et cetera, then the said student can go and do the dangerous occupation. Most of the jobs in the trades are considered dangerous and they do have this exemption. Electrical will be a really good example of that one. So for me, in a day-to-day basis, it just means additional paperwork and an additional explanation to the employer about, this is what's happening here. And they're usually glad to have it because they don't know that this exists. And I think some of them have, in fact, probably been, letting people do stuff they shouldn't. So that's been good. Here, I should have showed you this earlier. So these are the hazardous occupations that our students can do with this additional documentation and training. As you can see, a power-driven metal forming, punching, or shearing machine, that's a lot of things. So I really have to rely on the employers to say, I can't say if you use this or your employees do, but if you do, if you would know that a tool you use or they use will fall into this category, then we need to call it a hazardous occupation. So it's welding is on there, all of the construction stuff, roofing, excavations. Interestingly enough, the power-driven baking tools are not. Those big mixers that you see that you plug in and they turn. A student can't use those. So I found this part interesting to learn. Anyway, rambling on. The next slide is this is where we are today, or as of last week. We've got more programs participating, and the only ones that are not participating at this point, I think there's two really valid reasons for it. One is welding, and there's only one student in there who's in his second year, because it was the first year last year. And the other students just don't have the baseline skills for that very technical and hazardous occupation. So there's no sense in trying to even put them anywhere. The other program is sort of similar. It's our culinary program, which has all new students this year. Having said that, I'm working with a student right now to set up an interview to start at Otter Creek Bakery, and she's super excited about that. So I think we're going to see that number shift more to the blue as the year goes on. And then the last slide, and I'm really sorry this is so boring. It should have pictures of kids around it. Most of the kids are doing what the AOE calls career work experiences. We would call them internships, or in cases like programs like design and illustration. What's the other one where I think this sometimes happens? I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but I call them the work-based projects. Like a design and illustration student did a menu for a local entrepreneur. That was done in class time, it was done from school, but it was for an outside organization. So career work experience / internship. The job shadows have been really active this year, and I think that's been great because I think that for some of those kids that'll turn into greater interest in the second semester. And then cooperative technical, I guess that cut off some of my labels. Those are the co-ops. So we've got 27% of the kids getting paid for work that they're doing right now. Probably mostly that is in the auto program, the diesel program, the construction program, and sustainable ag, those 4 programs. And then the eligible students, the way I calculated that is only by taking the juniors and seniors in the school and dividing it that way. So, in theory, a 10th grader could do something second semester, not necessarily a pre-tech person, but even that I would arrange for a job shadow if they wanted to, or if the instructor wanted that. But that's where I get that 57%. And I think we're in good shape because if I'm not mistaken, that negotiated target is like 36 or something. So I think we're doing okay with that. I think the last this is a good slide. This has pictures. So these are all the current employers, and the ones that are new to us this year, I tried to shadow them, but it doesn't really show. The Tree House, Hardwoods and Mill Shop is new, from Vermont Virtual Block, that's the same one. Full Circle Construction is new. Mechanical Advantage is new, Driven by Drafts is new, Middlebury Acting Company is new. I think that might be it for new
Leaf
ones. And then
Organics,
there's some of our
that's a
standard ones, Porter and Mary Hogan, Addison County Parent-Child Center. Yeah, so that's where we stand right now, and then I'm happy if Nicole wants or you guys want an end of year update on where we are for this, and I promise it will have pictures because it's a lot more fun.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
I'm gonna suggest maybe a conversation with the hospital and Helen Porter. Because the nursing home runs under different regulations, one of the obstacles for them is the age requirement, but also the fact that there's some specific things that they have to use the Hoyer equipment for lifting patients out of bed.
Yeah, that stuff is not, the heavy lift stuff, the line
Yeah, so I'm
service.
wondering if there's something in that waiver piece
In the exemption?
to help them. And in talking to HR, they clearly are interested in doing it. And we're talking all the hospitals
Yeah.
in New York and,
Yeah.
everything. Because they don't want to lose these people once they get trained.
I will definitely look into that. I believe that those lifts
Right.
are verboten unless you're 18 or older.
Right, and
Yeah.
unless, and my question is, if they're supervised or they're shadowed, yeah.
Not under federal law.
No, it's
Yeah.
a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it is
I
a whole
totally
different
agree, but
ballgame.
thank you for that,
Yeah,
thank you.
sure. I don't know if, Dan,
Dan?
did you have a question?
On some of your slides, I would, numbers instead of percents.
Okay.
I just, and then the last one where you talk about the different programs, I thought your information was considerably more rich than your slide has. For instance, you mentioned which programs are doing what.
Yeah, but I don't tell you that
think
on
that's
this
what
at
the
all.
kids really dig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you make a good point, yeah. All right, I will enrich this for the school.
Sorry, they might appreciate. No, I mean, you're talking to these students.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I almost thought about just giving you guys the presentation that I'm doing tomorrow morning because I thought it's actually a lot more fun than that one was, but.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they'll tell you, they'll tell you like, here we go.
Yeah.
Colors, whatever colors. But thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
It's
you're
really
welcome,
helpful.
thank you.
Thank you
I'm
very
just
much.
gonna head
Much more groomed.
Those cats.
Those cats.
Thanks,
Those
Chip.
groovy cats.
Yeah.
They dig.
The chicks in the eyes. Chicks in the eyes.
Let me just read it. As we are losing people, we don't have to vote on anything.
They're dropping like flies now.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
We had brought Dan because those links weren't working and none of us could figure out why. And I think it's just his magical presence that we didn't have.
Sometimes you need to intimidate technology into working.
For me, I have to struggle
Right?
over it until I email somebody that a problem I'm having, and then I figure it out once I press send. That's how it works.
So, work-based learning, we went through, board goals. It's another group of things that we have mashed up and put around the table numerous times, but we have not established any.
I think we, sorry if I may speak, because
Yes, you may.
Christine and I have been, we're hashing this around, right, trying to clean up
Okay.
some of our goals, action steps. We didn't get past, except for establishing the goals, transparency, number one, collaborate, sending schools, and advocating for the legislature. So you can see those are our goals. And then I think I had taken some notes and put it in there. And then we were gonna talk about how to achieve each of these. So it needs to be filled out, but this is the general overview, the goals, 1 through 3.
Everybody have a chance to look at it? Any additions? Thank you for doing it.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to talk about goal number 2 just a little bit in terms of like what our role in doing that is. You know what I mean? Like it's how do we as a board collaborate with sending schools? I mean, it's more the goal and the admin doing that, or are we trying to say we need to make sure we have oversight, or they're making sure that this is being done as a goal? Like, I just.
If I remember, I thought the thought was, and I thought this was, Liz, are you still there? I thought it was Liz's idea that we would, those who do go back, and I can say this readily because I don't go back to another board.
Yeah.
But the idea was at least to have some sort of talking points that we could possibly go back to these boards to clarify why the drops are happening or why this or that's happening. I don't think it was an influence thing, but it was a matter of deciding on talking points that we might come up with because of the impact.
I am still doing it. I think that's what we were thinking as well, but.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. It was a long time ago when we talked about this, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, my experience of being at Mount Abe, there were years where it wasn't even on the agenda, you know, and it's very inconsistent. And you present a written report. Is that correct?
give a written and or report every month.
Yeah, and that's hopefully the level that we can get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve and I tag team the
You do it
report once a
together.
month.
I don't know what happens.
Do you get a lot of questions? I mean, I just ask for.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It depends what we're talking about.
Yeah,
that month.
gotcha.
Tend to get more budget type of questions this time of year, right?
I mean, I try to mix my report up and really talk a lot about, I talk about the, boring stuff like budget and all that, but then trying to pick out highlights of like what students are doing or, certain programs. So it's kind of a mix, but I was in the hot seat a little bit on Monday about the budget, but but anyway, back to this. Okay, I don't know.
Well, I think it's an educational process that, I see it work. And you've got it. And if you get the questions, brought to you, and obviously, giving Nicole a heads up before her roadshow about things that are gonna, a hot subject and why, because we've got to educate those other boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I know at the Mount Abe boards, I haven't been there lately, but Liz, I mean, a lot of them are new. They have no idea what goes on over here unless they've had somebody here. So I think it gives you the opportunity for me as a community engagement person to be able to say, here I am, and they go, oh, that's right, you used to be on this board, whatever. And then you get to talk about the programs, invite them to come to the open houses, or come over and set up an appointment to be able to do that. And the website, we now have a great updated website, that will answer a lot of their questions, if they choose to go there, but it gives you a chance to do that. But anything else you want to, or suggest we add to it?
I don't know if we want to contemplate some goals about student outcomes or progress, like making sure we're monitoring and getting all the things we need to know to understand how well students are doing here. And maybe, just goals about oversight of, how the center operates, but I don't know. I mean, we have all these policies and other things that we get reports on too. So.
Any thoughts from the mayor?
I don't know, just some ideas.
It's a lot more than we've had in the past. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I think we already do get a lot of information about graduation rates, completion rates, work-based learning, all of that. So I'm not sure that we need a goal about it, at least this year. I think these three are a good starting place for us.
Sounds good.
And I think, when Nicole and I build the agenda, we'll talk about that. Like, okay, how are evaluations going? Or how are this? If we haven't heard, and she'll say, oh, next month we're gonna, like this month, a lot of those reports. But if you find through the year that you're missing something or you have a question about it, just let us know. We'll put it on the agenda. And it's one of those things where you're really in tune with it. And just because she hears the information every day, it's like the conference they went to. I asked those questions and I'm like, hey, you gotta talk about it because it was so exciting for them to go and gather that information. But she is pretty good about keeping that up. But if you do find something, enrollment questions, like you said, in regards to, well, in the spring we get this many signups, but by the time fall comes around, why? And what can we do about that? And there is some information that, I'm not sure, Nicole, if you're gonna share, but we talked about graduation requirements for the 3 sending schools and how different they are. Yes, thank you. But, and how different they are, and how it creates an ability for some of the students to have flexibility to come over and take some of the courses. And I think those are things that we need to go back and share with board members. I think it's a piece, they're not aware of what some of the other schools do, or they are, and why, and they have different priorities, totally respecting that piece, but at the same time, if you have a parent that comes to you and says, how come my student can't come to the Career Center and they're still trying to take more credits at one of the sending schools and they really want to come over here, how are we going to do that? And encouraging them to go to the guidance counselor and hopefully work on their schedule so that can happen. But
So what are our next steps with these board goals?
So I have a question. I know
Sure.
I'm not a board member, but looking at this, these are very global goals. There is nothing here that is specific. And one thing you guys talked about earlier in this meeting was that you are behind schedule doing evaluation of the superintendent. And I'm wondering if there should be a goal there for the mandatory things you need to do as a board. Just thought I'd put it out.
thoughts?
Solid point.
Maybe we should make her a board member.
No, she
Run,
does better.
Linda, run.
That's what her husband used to do.
I have too many other things to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But it is a solid point. If we're struggling to get some of the mandatory things done, then maybe that should be our primary goal, and then the other ones.
Well, the other way I've seen it done too is by month. That this month we'll do this, we'll do that. And, and it should coincide with what the superintendent's gonna feed us anyway. Whether it's reports on what we just saw or whatever. And obviously certain times of the year rather, the budget is gonna take precedence, or facilities or whatever else we need to do. But if it becomes a larger calendar, you can do a lot of those pieces.
But you just mentioned budget evaluation. There's 3 or 4 things that you have to do within every year. Those should be a part of your goals.
Yep. And it kind of sets the thing up so that when some of us aren't here anymore, that we get reminded about when we're supposed to be doing things.
Do we keep a work calendar? Like when we're supposed to be doing certain things on certain months?
I think in our heads, but you're right, it's not on paper.
That's something we write down, or we have written down.
Right.
At ACSD.
Right.
That I
I mean,
think
generally
helps
we
keeps
do, but you're
everybody
right.
Yeah.
aligned.
It's like the budget is a dead stop for the town meeting. So that backs off, and we have that, but a lot of these other ones are just soft. We tend to.
Well, it's like the policy committee, it's hard for them to keep up with a lot of things, especially if these, the state group is revising certain things and so on as it becomes a priority. But you're right, a calendar. I think a calendar of responsibilities is probably the way that we should be going. And say no one that wants to take that task on. That will be the next assignment, so keep that in mind. Of setting that up. Sending schools, is that something you guys do already? Yeah?
We do.
So you don't need to rewrite I know Mount Abe does, because I remember seeing it years ago. But, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If somebody produces it.
We'd be happy to
Thank you.
get a copy of what we have.
Yeah.
It's in our meeting minutes. It's public.
It's just there, and and you're right, when it's in front of you, then you go, oh yeah, we've got to do that, versus it being last minute. That's right.
It helps keep us from having.
If everybody from the
a
sending
7-hour
schools bring
line.
theirs in or send it, it's really helpful, so that we don't have to reinvent the.
Yeah, we can offer a few, but also a lot of it is monitoring reports. Right, so when we're gonna see them from the superintendent, and when we've got lots of notice, and our student talking to ones that we do, and I think that's a huge part of the work plan, is us all knowing to keep track of our monitoring reports already. So, it'll look different for us, right? So it'll be interesting to fill it out with what we do as a board, because so the only monitoring report we're really doing is the superintendent evaluation. that I recall board members are responsible for on this one? Or are there other things that you're doing as chair, for us?
We should share them, see what we have. Because they're bound to be something that we're not doing, or we don't have to do because
Yeah,
it's part of the,
I think if we collect what our sending boards are doing and stick them all together and say what do we have to, what is here
What's
that we care
applicable,
about,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, in Aspen Northwest, we have a strategic work plan that the board works on, and part of that plan is the goals. And we do that every retreat and look at it, and it's got a time frame. But
Separate committee?
share that document. The board works on it in retreat.
Oh, okay, in the retreat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our executive board does
That's right, you guys
the
have an
big
executive
part
board.
of it.
Yeah.
Liz, is my name still in the executive board?
What was that?
I said, does Mount Abe, still have an executive board?
Nope,
Nope, it's gone.
not since, we became MAUC.
Okay, thank you,
We consolidated, yep.
thank you. Because you're right, that's where I remember doing it as an executive board member. It's just a separate group, kind of have all that stuff there.
They build it and then they bring it to us as a
Exactly.
board and then we weigh in on it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for what you have done. Please review it, and then, like you said, we can plug the other things in. I think it's better than what we haven't had in the past, which was zero. So, we're moving in the right direction. Thank you. Pre-tech. Or actually, district quality standards, I apologize.
Barriers to CTE.
Oh, I have barriers. I'm making a little marks in the wrong place.
So if you open up this link, one of the questions that I am endeavoring to answer for the board is why is it that students perceive or are facing barriers to enrollment here? And one of the pieces that I think has become just really salient for us over the course of the last 2 years is that for one of our sending school districts in particular, they have far more graduation requirements than other schools. And they're graduation requirements that are not things that can be embedded into CTE easily. So if you look at, for example, in our Virgins Union High School, they have essentially one more credit than would be considered standard graduation requirements. But one of those credits is a technology credit, which is easily embedded in almost all of our courses. So those students, even though they have a little bit more of a requirement, that is something that they can take care of through a CTE program. But that's not the case across the board. And especially when you look at the school that has 3.25 more credits than everybody else, that's almost an entire semester or a half of a whole year for kids that they do not have the ability to take CTE. And those credits that are above and beyond are not things that can be embedded into CTE, so they can't double dip for those credits. So it's a double barrier for them. I will tell you that we recently had our 10th grade visits from 2 of the schools. We still have one more coming. And I want to first give a huge shout out. I have never, this is the 3rd year we've been doing these visits. We had the best time with Virgins. They came with this positive energy. They sent tons of adults with the kids. The kids were excited. They had clearly done pre-work before they got here. It was a really fun day. And just a huge amount of kudos to Jody and her team for making it such a positive and uplifting experience for kids. So that's just huge. But anyway, where I was going with that is we have had these visits now and we're surveying because we have this new amazing counselor, Tracy, who's creating this exit survey for kids. When the Middlebury kids came, one of the questions we ask is, if you don't plan to take a CTE course, why is that? 41% of their students said that they couldn't fit it into their schedule. So that's a pretty striking, that's from the mouths of the kids themselves. So whether that's real or perceived, I can't tell you that. But it certainly, that's what they believe to be the case. And that caused me to kind of dig into this data, which I do find that almost 3.5 credits more than as the state standard might actually be a barrier.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna push back
Yeah.
just a little bit.
Please do, yeah.
And I'm gonna say it's the prescription of the credits, not the number of credits themselves, but the fact that they have to be a foreign language.
Right.
An extra art, design, performing, another half of a health credit, half credit for the theory of knowledge, and a quarter of a credit for personal product.
Right.
That's the stickler, not the number of credit itself.
I would agree because, for example, especially with the math and the sciences, almost all of our classes offer a credit of math or science. So if that was the extra credit, that would be an easy, right thing for kids to manage.
Is this then directly related to the IB requirements? Or is this just does any school just get to decide this, or is this because in order to achieve the IB standards, you have
I
to?
believe it's mostly IB driven. I mean, certainly obviously the two IB, theory of knowledge and personal product.
Right, those are only.
But I believe the foreign language is also part of that, and I believe the art and design is part of that as well. I'm not sure about the health.
Well, and then during the IB introduction, one of the things that I remember from those meetings was that they were even if it's not required specifically for IB, but they were saying that you have to have a second language, a foreign language, you have to have these other things.
Yeah, there's and there's different levels too of what your requirements are based on whether you're doing the diploma or not.
What's the dark shading for the graph?
The dark shade.
On the bottom.
The yellow, actually.
Oh, the yellow,
I mean,
the same as our yellow.
they have
there?
black and white copies.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So the yellow, if you look up here, the yellow is where they differ from the other schools in Addison County.
Nicole, would you say that the information we looked at earlier in the year, the amount of drops per school? I mean, the amount of drops per, Middlebury kind of coincides with what you're saying here, right? That they were the highest number.
But wasn't that also schedule change?
Well, yeah, I mean, the points of data which I have, right, and I'm not in the mines or in the work, right, over there. But the points of data that I have are that there are more credits required, and they're specifically named credits, right, that are not easily embedded. That the students report, 41% of them report that they can't fit CTE into their schedule, and that we had 54 drops from one school. So, I mean, I don't have the context for those things, but those are three pieces of data which seem to me to be coming together.
No, the 54 drops came after they changed the schedule, so they didn't have that schedule last year, did they?
Yes.
Yeah,
They did?
Yes.
We had a lot of drops last year as well for the
Okay.
first time, yeah.
Dan?
Can I ask, what's an elective if it's not learning advanced technical drawing or something like that? I mean, why can't a lot of these courses be offered as electives? You look at that, you got 3.5, 5.5, and 7.5
Right,
electives.
Yeah, for electives, the kid can take anything. So they could take CTE as their elective, for example. They can take anything at all for an elective. They could even take another math if they just loved math, right? They could take anything for the elective. Right?
Elective just means how many more credits above what the yeah.
The problem is they have to take all the other things that are right there.
Right.
Yeah.
But there should be enough time allocated for electives that they could choose. No?
Well,
Why would they take an elective at the school versus here? I think it was like
Well, more or less. I mean, if it's part of the elective.
Well, part of it is scheduling too, right? So they have to be able to, in their schedule a given year, they have to be able to fit in the things required,
That whole morning.
which are not offered every period, every day.
Okay,
And they have to be able to schedule that around a half day here,
okay.
right? So it makes it challenging.
I mean, there really isn't a solution for this, is there?
What's up, Liz?
Get rid of IB.
I'm sorry, Liz, go ahead.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. It kind of reminds me of that English study you talked about earlier, right? Because that's all 4 years, how we all have that fourth English credit. And then at Maui as well, more and more of our classes are being offered not even at a certain time of day or semester, but there's that rotating every other year schedule. So sometimes, it's not even annually. You have to look ahead 2-3 years to difficult, so must happen more and more often.
Thank you.
So, I felt like this was an important piece of the whole puzzle that we're dealing with. It's not, in and of itself, it's not the answer. It just adds to the context of why students are having more challenging time scheduling CTE when we have a lot of evidence that they want to take it because they sign up. And remember, for CTE, it's not just that they sign up, like they don't just circle the dot on the thing. They actually have to fill out an application and say why they want to be here and attach transcripts. I mean, it's a whole process that they go through to apply and be accepted.
And of course, ACSD being IB throughout, pre-K through 12, we're the only tech center that's attached to that kind of level of barrier. No other, I mean, there are a few other IB schools, but none that have it throughout like that, so that's another challenge. Nobody kind of understands that because we're the only one in that situation.
So the conversation with guidance people, which obviously are, I would think, the people that sit down and help students plan their 4 years of high school. In taking a look at the elective piece, is that something that, hello, can you offer that? Can you put that in? And, I can't read their minds either to determine if that option's even happening anymore. I know years ago, it was this bus was the one barrier. The next was the schedule. And then we fixed that for a little while, and then that bounced back. And then IB came in as an interesting piece next door that, that was what they wanted. So again, looking at the amount of students that just, can't come here, there's some barriers. And I don't know where to go with the rest of that, or suggest. Bill?
Is there a way for, because I've heard some of the same stuff from kids who've wanted to go here, and these are kids from the other side of the mountain, they come over and they last about a semester because they don't want to do everything that high school wants them to do. Is there a way to get some of these requirements out of the way early for them? I mean, talking to them at the end of the 8th grade year, it's kind of late if they're planning on doing some things. Is there a way we can actually talk to them earlier? The kids, I know 7th and 8th grade might be kind of early, but they're kids who actually know what they want to do. And if they can test out of some things or take classes so that when they do get over here, they can do what they want to do.
So I think that's probably outside of the scope of what we have control over, right? We do, there is some talk in the legislation about, I don't know, again, this is, who knows what's gonna happen? But there is conversation about having foreign language occurring at middle school as part of the transformation, so that would count as the 1 year.
Okay.
But who knows? We do have, as you guys all know, all the 8th graders in Addison County come and tour through here too. And as part of our presentation there, we do talk to them about planning ahead, and what they need to do with their schedules in order to make CTE work. But they're 8th graders. So, but we do intentionally do that. And I think our new counselor, Tracy, has a very good relationship with our sending school districts. And to her credit, I want to make sure that I also give kudos where kudos are due. Jillian and Wendy have been working closely with Caitlin and Ben at Middlebury, and they have been very receptive to increasing some of the locally controlled embedded credits, which might make a difference for kids' access too. So that is very good work on both sides, and I very much appreciate that.
Christine?
Well, I was just gonna ask what the relationship is right now, like with guidance and the sending schools, and are they collaborating and trying to help address some of these issues, or are you hitting a wall?
Well, the issue of graduation requirements isn't something that the principals have any power. This is set at the district level, which is why we're discussing it with you all. Because the board and the superintendent together set the
graduation requirements for a district.
Any conversation about a statewide level graduation requirements?
There are going to be, and it's the most bizarre thing ever that we don't have statewide graduation requirements. It's part of the problem. But the AOE is tasked with, by December something, soon, before the end of the year, to put forward their recommendation for statewide graduation requirements. Their first drafts were highly problematic. They got lots and lots of feedback. They have a second draft now, which is a little better, but it'll be an iteration because they then have to negotiate, and then even if it passes, it has to go to the state board. So I have a lot of confidence that we will have statewide graduation requirements, which will solve some problems. Because remember, there's already a law that says that if a student is exposed to a sending school district graduation requirement that exceeds the state minimums, then that must, not can, but must, shall be waived so the student can attend CTE. But the problem right now is there are no graduation requirements, so that doesn't apply. It doesn't help kids. So when that all happens, it may provide some relief for kids.
Right.
But when they adopt new graduation requirements, they generally adopt them for the incoming freshman class. So whenever this happens, it'll be many years before it impacts 11th and 12th graders.
It might have been 28, but I'm pretty sure it was freshman of year 29 that, I think they were aiming for 28, but are looking at 29 now for once they've implemented the requirements, graduation requirements as a goal, of course. It could, I hope.
Any other barrier questions, comments, things you've heard on the street? Please send them forward. So sometimes that's the way you answer. Do you want to move on, Nicole, or do you have anything else? Okay, thank you. Okay. So district quality standard survey results. Thank you, David.
So I thought you would be interested to see what you all said about yourselves. So you all sent us in your feedback about, remember you had to rate yourselves as a board on a number of standards. So these are your results. I thought you were pretty hard on yourselves, actually. So you've got the results there. And these might inform your board goals in some way too. A place where you felt you were least proficient, maybe that's where a goal comes from.
I think many of us are our own worst enemies.
Yes.
Right? Worst critics, right?
Yeah. I was surprised, actually. I thought you'd rate yourself proficient more often.
Proficient, but not advanced.
And you
I've
thought
seen
we
a
were
lot
just
of
hard on
advanced
you.
in here.
You guys have a lot of approaching.
Somebody really likes us, we call us advanced. Ooh, that's a big one. 6%.
Well, after today's meeting, you might be able to advance yourself a little bit. I have a lot of reports.
Yes, they're all.
That's sometimes how it comes together, the cluster.
Is there a stamina rating?
Oh, this is nothing.
How about a longevity one?
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't get bonuses for that.
Considering the executive session started at 6:35,
Yeah.
I think we all have a problem with watches and the clock.
But I think that's a good idea to look at this in terms of goals.
I think it'll help.
Yeah.
So offer your feedback after you peruse them.
Whitney, I just wanted to point out you rock.
And you also deserve a
Did
medal.
Lauren edit this by chance?
And you deserve a medal.
No, that's right. I had to, I had put that out of my mind. I was working on that pretty hard to get it to you by within an hour or something. Can't remember from day to day.
I love that 3 of us responded to the optional, and one of them was nah.
That sounds like a student response.
Any other questions about the graphs and such?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for compiling all of that for us.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you very, very much. Technical go on rates.
So kind of in alignment with the budget discussion, right? We anticipate over time that we are going to be faced with tougher and tougher budget scenarios. So I'm trying to prepare data starting now before that happens so that you have things to look at when those times come. One of the questions that I have is we have more pre-technical programs than pretty much any other CTE center. And as you know, we get very little FTE for those students. The reason that you have pre-technical programs is because you want kids to go into technical programs, right? They're sort of like marketing for technical programs to get kids excited. So you want a pretty good go-on rate. If you don't have a good go-on rate, then it's not working and it may not be a good investment. Unless you want to do it for another reason, right? Which is valid too. That's a board decision, right? The original reason though for pre-technical programs is to get students to move into technical programs. So overall, our go-on rate is about 50%, which is excellent. I think that's a good go-on rate. About half the kids want to go on. But this gets a little bit more granular for us to take a look at which programs kids go on more often than others. So on the left, what we've done is we've listed the pre-technical program, and then on the right, we show you what percentage of the students, we track this all the way back to 2018. I just want to say how big of a project this was because it's hand tabulation with old lists of kids from old classes. And I just want to give huge kudos to Tracy, our new counselor, and to Wendy for just really, this was a lot of work.
It's great data.
So you can see if we get into a position where we're making decisions about programs, we have some more information about which ones are leading to more outcomes as far as students taking technical classes. And that is not the only reason that you would make a decision about a program, but it is one piece of data which might be very helpful for us in the future. And it's a piece of data that we can focus on to say, why are the kids not going on from that program? And are there things that we can change about that program to make it more enticing for students to go on? The piece that will be coming that we don't have ready for you yet because it is even more complicated in hand tabulation is it's going to be a big question in the future if we want to continue the Bridge and Satellite program. And in order to make a decision about that, we would definitely need the data. But the level of complexity there is even more because there are so many classes there and they happen on different years, and then you have to track that kid for 4 more years by hand. And so we're not ready with that yet, but you will get that data too. Just to make sure that you understand, we are not recommending any changes to that program for next year. That program is in the budget for 27. But I do anticipate in the future we will have much harder decisions to make, and so let's get ready with data.
Speaking of hard decisions, I know we've been working towards the electrical program, and you're only allowed to get 1 new class a year. Are we applying for 2 or just 1?
What do you mean, electrical or?
Are we applying for another curriculum class as well if they don't give us electrical because they've done bizarre stuff before?
No, you're only allowed to apply for 1. You can't apply for 2.
You're only allowed to apply for 1, but they won't necessarily give you 1.
Right.
Correct.
That's really not very smart on their
All this
part.
work, yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
Talk to your legislators.
Yes.
Have Dan send an email.
Yeah. They don't have a clue.
Write it up, Dan. I'll sign it.
Give me some wording, yep.
So, and those of
Really?
you, yeah, and those of you on specific boards, we also have the data for your specific school. So that might be something interesting to your boards to see.
Yeah, it's amazing that Virgins has a 76 go-on percentage.
Very high.
And that's the one with the embedded class in their school and.
Well, that data is not, these are kids who are in pre-tech, Virgin's kids in pre-tech here.
Okay,
You will later get data on Virgin's satellite program kids.
I forgot to say.
If
Oh,
they
that's
go
what
to
I
it.
thought too, it was the
Yeah,
satellite, but no, this is.
Sorry, and actually that's a little
Numbers are
misleading
low.
because there's so few
Yeah.
pre-tech that come here.
I only have 3 kids.
However, the data does show the ones that actually come here for
stay.
pre-tech go on. So it actually, could end up being a direction that we use in the future.
I would argue that sometimes these kids don't know what they want to do. So this actually helps them decide.
Yeah.
I don't call these failures. I mean, somebody tries it and says, I don't like it.
That's just
If
as
they do
important.
nothing, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Go off and do a life career or something.
Does Stafford doesn't have a pre-tech program, do they?
I think this year they started one because they had to. Every center is supposed to have them, and I'm pretty sure they started one this year. And it's it's not a particular one, it's an exploratory that sort of covers all of the.
That's a neat idea as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know some Otter Valley people used to come here for that, didn't they?
Yeah, in the in the future, should we have, if decision, it could be that we still want pre-tech programs, but we have to make them look differently because we can't afford this many or something, right? But the beginning of all that is understanding what's working.
Okay. Thanks for putting all the data together.
Thank you
It's a
for
big
the
help.
data collection. Anything else on that? CTE waitlist, yeah.
So this I alluded to in the roadshow presentation. The first 2 links there are just the raw data from AO8 in case any of you are inclined to mess around with data, which I know some of you are. The third link is a document I wrote as a set of talking points that I'm hoping will be useful to you and that I'm using with legislators. I will say there's a mistake in here because we already had linked this before we found the mistake. Sudbury is not in Addison County, it is in Rutland County. Somewhere in here it says the wrong thing. One of our, Steve Lawrence caught that for me. So I have since corrected it, and I will send a corrected copy. But essentially, this is giving the same argument, which is actually making people stop and give me a lot more attention about what it would do to our tuition rates if we were able to serve the students who are currently being turned away from CTE. And, and I have been exceedingly clear that I am not interested in students going to our center if they already have a place in their own. I'm just talking about kids that don't have a place and want to do CTE.
Students that don't have a place.
Students, right. So again, if we serve even half of the students on the waiting lists right now, our tuition would decrease by over $14,000 per student, which would be a decrease of 34% and put us actually right in the middle of the pack as far as what tuition would cost for all the CTE centers across Vermont.
Questions?
Sorry.
I had a fairly extensive discussion with Herb Olson. I ran into him at a party. Dave knows about this. And Herb tells me how he just loves CTEs and he'll do anything to support them. And I'm thinking, he's a busy guy. And we know this other board he's on, he's not often able to attend. But he says he's busy. He wants to hear more about how to improve enrollment. Because I told him, I said, all of this cost stuff can go away if enrollment increases. And I've got a few ideas. And so he says he wants to hear more. I says, it's very complicated. This isn't something I can put in a simple email. But I'm just wondering if something like this is just what we need.
So if I were anointed to solve this problem, we know in the state of Vermont that 50% of our kids go on to post-secondary and 50% are. I'm going to set aside for a moment that 50% of our kids go on to post-secondary too, but I'm just thinking about the students who don't, who need a way to earn a high wage, high career, a high skill, high demand job. So if we funded CTE based on resident high school students at a 50%, assuming 50% of them should access CTE, we would have a system that didn't pit us against each other.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So my idea to him was to come up with some sort of a challenge to these towns that were afraid to send students and have the state back them up. If they couldn't do it, I think they would. And just forming this idea, I want to talk to you. I think this is the basis for something. Like you say, we have fixed costs. So, to suddenly bear onto this onto Stafford because they've got new students. It's crazy, and how the whole formula works is beyond comprehension, really, so.
Well, I think it'd be a lot cheaper to bus kids here than to build more centers.
Why
At
don't
least
we
in the short,
suggest
at
that
least in the
first?
short
Yeah,
term.
build
The
a
long
center.
term would be to build centers where the populations already are, right? But that's a lot of expense and.
Well, you see Berryfield, you know, they're not gonna do it, you know, and it's also the economic and all the other socioeconomic issues that are in that area. No. And then when you look at the percentage of people that are actually paying taxes in that area, they're not gonna support it.
Nicole, I think this would be a really great document to share on your roadshow.
Yes.
Link with the board so you can just call their attention to it and say, read this, so, you know.
Yeah, here's your data.
Because it's
Support
really,
area.
Especially the roadshow outside of these main schools.
yeah, that's right.
You shared any of this with some of the politicians in this area? Thank you. I figured you did. So I think that's the other helpful piece that you're right. They're looking for numbers. They don't have them or something like this.
Toughest thing is until they split the budgets. This is high school, this is CTE. They're still looking at, well, you're taking my money.
Right.
Like, crazy. Next, can we move? Are you guys, you're okay over there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Skills USA donation, big one?
This is, I don't know who wants to speak to this. Who was here? David, were you here, or Wendy, were you here that day?
I was not, but I can
Go ahead.
certainly.
Was, I think.
Were you here? Did you get to hold the big check?
I deposited the big check. I went straight to the bank.
So the backstory is that Lisa and I think David had been reaching out when our skills kids went previously and asking for community help because it's very expensive and we're not going to ask parents to pay $1,000 when their kid just won a giant accomplishment. And boy, did our community show up, right? They just really showed up. And one of the places that they had approached was Table 21, which is a charity that's kind of it seems like it's kind of on the DL, but it's a group of people that are trying to do good work. And they had money from COVID left or something.
It was
Okay.
initially a nonprofit to deal with COVID and recovery of COVID. They had money after, and they wanted to disperse that money, so we were chosen as one of their folks. And it's David Mills, not me. I have nothing to do with this. Just to clarify.
But I mean, it was just such a surprise. It was not like they were very humble, huge humility. It was a complete surprise. And they, I think both David and Lisa were just in shock, genuinely, when they brought this check to us. So this will go a very long way to allowing students to attend these national competitions.
Yeah, I'll add just a quick snippet. The skills instructors in the group are looking at setting up an endowed portion of that funding, so there's perpetual funding for kids to access for these opportunities in the future. So I think it's really empowering them and just an incredible resource for them to have access to.
It's an expensive endeavor, Skills USA. It's not cheap, just like FFA. And there's fall leadership conferences. We've never been able to send students to those because we just don't have the funding available. So this is also going to give them an opportunity to do that. So something that, because usually only 2 students are chosen for the competition. So this can be more students getting more opportunities from this donation.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Table 21.
Yeah.
Does that require a motion to accept?
There's another one here.
Did you cash the check already, David?
I did. Austin did.
Austin
We actually probably do need a motion to accept it.
I don't know if we can if it's not an
Yeah,
action.
so let's make sure
It's
we
gonna be
put
an
it,
action item
we can put an action item on January's agenda.
to approve that. Thank you.
Same
Point
with
of
the next
order,
one.
lady.
Same with, and
In the
we
grant.
had previously been talking about Dan Aaronsmeyer, what just a great job he's doing. So he went out and found himself a scholarship here, $10,000 for students, and he won it. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on him.
There's a small typo right where your cursor is, up to 3, and it's got a comma as if it's supposed to be 3,000, but
It
it's,
is 3,000.
okay, so we just need to put another 0 in there at some point.
Not our letter.
Right, I just wanted to, because I wasn't sure which way that was supposed to go.
We do have confirmation from the Gene Halls Foundation that it is 3,000,
Okay.
and we are moving 3,000 because he's using that for the competitions, for drone and robotics and all that kind of stuff as well.
He's also gonna be talking to Raytheon about some other stuff. Because they have a whole grant program for Lego robotics. And I'm trying to set him up with some people at Raytheon that he can talk to who would walk right through the paperwork. I don't know who else needs to know that.
Public comment.
You missed one.
Grants?
The policy.
Grants. I keep checking them off before we're finished with it. The grant from the Gene HAAS.
That's the one
That's the one
We
there.
were just talking about it.
Thank you. Do we have to vote on that? To accept that?
We do, but we didn't put it on as an action.
January.
But I'm just saying, it needs to
On
be added to
January,
the other.
yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Great. Who's got some more public comment about the time?
I think you have one more item, Kim.
Yeah, the first read on that policy, Kim. E24.
What number are you?
I don't.
Number 9.
It's not on.
Oh,
It's
it's
not
on the,
written.
the
Ooh.
that
not
was
on
the
my sheet.
opposite. It's on the online one, but not on the.
Yeah, it's on my agenda.
Not on mine.
So the question is, which agenda did you approve?
Yes, that's correct.
And which agenda got posted,
That one
so.
is posted.
That one got posted, but we don't have it in front of us. So we need to, who's going to present?
Well, that was Steve's policy, but I can present it again.
Thank you.
So the middle link is the red line version. And basically, you can see what the changes are.
What's the title again? I'm sorry.
It's a superintendent,
Okay.
a board superintendent relationship. It's a recommended policy. Dan, did you do this for Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So, the items in red are the existing policy, correct? Is that how this works?
Right, yeah.
And then, the strikeouts are what's coming out of the policy.
It's the comparison, so it's what's different from the VSBA version.
Okay.
So not necessarily strike it out, but that's what's not in the VSBA version, obviously.
Specific name.
Right, so you can see where it says that at least annually instead of annually, so the new language is at least annually. The board formally evaluates instead of saying annually. So the new language just changes that. It's evaluates performance of the superintendent. It's a little verbiage stuff that they do.
And I think we adopted this policy in 2021, I think is what this,
Yeah, the original.
let me just, pull it up. So we adopted this policy, now I'm, actually, that's not the right one. Sorry. May of 2021, May 12th of 2021. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it was a date wrong. We adopted it on June 9th of 2021. So, yeah.
So is this the first read or the second?
This is the first read, yeah.
Okay.
And the VSBA updated it on August 4th of 2025.
So they updated it recently, okay.
Yeah.
So today's date goes in date warned.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is our responsibility to do.
Now,
Well, I want to talk to Nicole about this whole system so we can get on the same page.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
That would be good. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so Laura enters.
But,
warned.
so this will go on the board, the agenda for January
As an action
as
item.
a second read in action.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
December?
January.
This is-
That's right,
We're
we're
in
in
December.
December. It's December now.
So
I don't even know what day it is, so it's the 18th.
I know.
This month is
It's
gone.
my son's birthday, so.
Oh, you're here, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
That's why
So
I'm.
just for clarification, so everybody understands what's sort of been happening with some of the policy stuff, is that, since we started meeting again this year, a lot of the first read policies ended up on the board agenda as action items, which they were not. And so there was a lot of confusion about what was happening, so just, we're trying to like get it all sorted out.
Make sure that
Thanks
we
for
have all
doing
of
that.
our
So,
I's
because the
crossed
first
and our
reads
T's
are
dotted.
discussion items, the
Right.
second read and the voting is the action.
Bill?
So, question I have with something where we're kind of going through and striking stuff out. My impression was that all the policies came to us after they'd been vetted by the VSBA attorneys.
Right.
Correct.
So what happens with the changes we make? Do we have to vet them?
We're not making any changes, we're adopting what the VSBA has vetted.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're just
so
showing.
what are all the strikeouts
The
from?
strikeout is the old language that was in the previous version. So when we complain that VSBA doesn't give us a strikeout version, we're making our own. We're taking the previously accepted VSBA version that we put all of our headers on.
So you have to go through
Put
everything.
in the
to
new
see
one.
what's
Yes,
different?
we're doing it.
Well, I have a,
Word does it for you.
I have Word.
Yeah.
Talk to it.
I can do it in 30 seconds, but it is, as you can see, most of it, you go through and look at these red lines, most of it is just,
Yeah,
Tiny
why
changes.
make us do all this, is my question.
and then we do it so it's easier for all of you to understand where the
Right.
changes are. I mean, we
Okay.
could not do it, and then it makes it more challenging to talk
Right.
about. So
Okay.
visually, it's
Well,
just,
thank
Don't
you.
make us update because you changed will to shall.
Yeah, right.
yes.
Matters to lawyers.
We're doing
Yeah.
something.
Okay, thank you.
So we will see that again next year.
Yes.
Public commentary. I'll just start with one. What's the flavor of people having all of this information just delivered electronically? Do you still need paper?
I think it works better in the meeting on paper.
Anyone else?
Can we
Either or.
choose
Yeah.
as a member?
Just make fewer copies.
Well, I think if you, I know through the years, if you wanted a copy, you contacted Jim and, or, Patrice, whatever, and just say, I need the packet. It's easier for me running the meeting, but I'm in a different position.
Yeah, but the problem is you have a different version than what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
that's
You know what I
right.
mean? So that's
Doesn't happen all the
challenging. Yeah.
Doesn't happen all the time. And you wouldn't believe how many
So-
times this changes when we put it together.
Yeah.
So I, come in and say, is there something different?
Yeah.
And, but if you want to have a paper copy, I think it behooves you to let Shannon know.
So do we just do digital as a default and paper if we ask?
Yeah, digital's gonna come.
Right.
Okay. Could we make a paper copy of the agenda? So we can follow the agenda and then go to our, we use the links
Whatever
anyway,
you
never
want.
mind. Never mind.
it's a lot of paper.
It is a lot.
Yeah, I'm
It
just
is a lot
trying to
of
think of
paper.
the environment here,
I do like having the agenda as a written,
Yeah.
just because
Because then you could just leave the links open.
Thank you.
And then you can do it.
But,
Right.
Okay.
but
and
the
then-
rest of it is on here.
Oh, and this with the links, it looks very nice.
As long as the links work, because we've had that issue too.
That's why Dan was here, but of course it worked tonight, right?
So anyway, that's, something to think about, but again, if you really want one, you need to let her know, because you're right, we do use a lot of paper.
So my instruction then is print a paper agenda for everybody, and if you want a packet, you'll let us know at
You have to
least
let
a
it-
couple days in advance.
Yes,
Yep.
not that afternoon.
Sounds
Not a good
great.
idea.
I would go with that.
And instead of having to ask for every meeting, somebody can say, can you always have a packet ready for me? And you'll have them say, I always need to have
Right.
3 available.
Okay. We're getting there.
Shannon will be your new best friends, by the way.
Yes.
This is not
Could
what
make
you
some
said.
copies.
Shannon will be so happy.
Right, I mean, it's for her.
Oh, yeah,
It's
she's
crazy,
she's
right?
very
There's
happy.
so
Yeah.
many reasons to try to do less of that.
Maybe
Okay.
trade shit. That's what they-
Just FYI, if you go by the dates on the agenda here for the February meeting, it's not February 20th, it's February 19th.
Annual meeting? Is that the number you're looking at?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the 19th?
We're not meeting on a Friday, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's.
Yeah, this Thursday, and it should be.
Yeah.
19th.
And in the warning draft, it was correct, just so you know.
It was, okay.
You don't have to worry about that.
Thank you for catching that, Christina.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, I went to put it in my calendar
Me
and I was
too.
like, wait a minute, that's a Friday.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
And remember that we do it's a question, I guess. Generally, we do a 1 hour board meeting and then you do your annual meeting at 5. You start the board meeting at 4, go to 5, and then you do the annual meeting at 5. But we can do it however. We just need to know. So if you want to divert from that.
We haven't done the agenda yet, but I'm assuming it's gonna be a little bit smaller.
So the February meeting is our annual.
And moderator
We're,
up for
with
discussion.
the board has previously asked us to see if Jim Douglas was available. Is the board still interested in him as our moderator if we can get him?
I think we asked them early enough, right?
Who is the lead on asking?
Who knows Jim's phone number? Of course.
Are you asking, or you want to share the number and we can ask?
I have no problem checking in with him.
Thank you.
That would be great.
Thank you very much, Linda.
We've had a consent form that we've used before, he's giving consent for his name to be on there.
Okay.
So I will ask him, I have the form.
Okay, good.
And you can do the same thing with both of us if you want. I don't know who your treasurer is going to be.
Thank you.
And then three, it's you, the moderator, and then the treasurer.
Right.
Those are the three.
And I don't know if your treasurer is staying the same or not.
Is
That-
Jane
That's a
staying?
question you should ask.
Yes, we'll see her tomorrow.
But I will be
confirm.
glad to ask you.
Confirm.
Great.
Thank you.
And do we have a budget presentation to public scheduled or no?
I usually do it at the annual meeting.
At the annual meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
We do it then.
okay.
To the one
Are
person.
they two separate meetings?
It's
or
the
not?
annual meeting and
As far
public
as
information.
They're two
here.
start
meetings,
and stop and
Right.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Are they warned separately?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I think they're warned on one thing, but it says both. I think there's one warning, but it has both things listed. We asked Belinda.
Austin and I played with that one.
Okay.
The title can't say annual meeting and give more than one date.
Okay.
So it's annual meeting at this date
Okay.
with a public hearing portion. And then the special meeting is on the day you vote.
Okay.
So we fixed the title.
Thank you.
Yes, because you have to table.
It's not tabled, it's, what's the word we use?
Suspended?
Or, yeah.
Recessed.
Table.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
recessed.
recessed.
That was the
Recessed
word.
until
Not
Recessed
table,
until
recessed. Thank you.
Paused.
Yeah.
I'm still learning this process.
Yes.
It means you didn't adjourn the meeting, you conclude the meeting after the vote.
Are we at board reflection?
Yes, we are.
So
Would
is
you
it
like to
not
take
still
that
on?
Sure.
I'm ready. Thank you.
Nice long meeting today, but I think we did a really nice job covering everything that we needed to, receiving a lot of information. I also just want to shout out all of the lovely new microphones and our improved remote meeting capabilities. It is much easier to hear everything remotely. Thank you so much to Drew for all of the hard work. Cool.
I haven't been to an online meeting since those were installed. That's very nice.
There's
Yeah, good. Thank you for that reflection.
How do they work there, Steve? Mr. Parks?
We got heard here?
Good. Asking about the microphones.
All right, so the next section, we got the dates all squared away. Thank you, Christina, for picking up on that. And we need a motion to go into executive session. Should be rather quick.
Is this the two-parter motion or is this a one-parter motion?
Should just be one, right? Because it's just
313A.
For one item.
But you have to do the motion.
It's in a two-part.
Finding that it is.
Alright, I move that we find that next discussion requires per VSA 313A1 is a topic requiring a specific finding. Oh, sorry. Discussing this would cause premature general public knowledge to clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. I think that's the way you do it. So that's my move.
Second.
Thank you. And then I'm gonna move per 313A3 to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Second again.
I think I did that right.
Beautifully done.
Wait a minute, let's vote on the first motion before we.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Oh, oops, sorry.
Kim's turn.
I'm not gonna be concerned over it, but you should.
Thank you very much for that clarification. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, raise your hand. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none? First motion passes. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? Seeing none. Thank you.